We want to review the year as far as the youth are concerned. Some of the hits, some of the misses, and of course, some of the things that we're going to improve on come next year, politically and otherwise. And in studio, we do have the chair of the National Youth Caucus. This is Kamau Mbiu. Kamau, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you. Good morning. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, actually. The last time you were here, we had a lot of conversations around especially youth engagement as far as national leadership is concerned.
Yes.
And today, of course, we're going to continue that conversation and see just how much we can capture as far as that is concerned. So, karibu tena sana.
Asante sana.
Right. Now, let's talk about some of the hits. Or let's start with the hits. According to you, what are some of the things that you can highlight and say this year, nyewe, kama youth, we have achieved this, or we did this, and we have established this?
Well, we continue to fight for, the civic education. We have continued to educate ourselves. Mm-hmm. It has been continuous since last year. We've continued to gather and acquire knowledge and information of how the government has been working. We have been continuing to sensitize other young people to learn about the government, to learn about the governance, to learn about leadership and politics. And most of them also have graduated from schools, and they are welcome now to this other side of life, so that we continue pushing on. But also we have during this year's protest, we still acquired something, because still a struggle, and it is continuous. So we thank God. It's been a journey, and we continue to push on. We also registered most of the youth in now political parties. They are coming into realization that now that it is politics. We have to play it as politics. And they are coming in well. Some of them have not registered as voters. Some have registered, and those who have registered, thank you, and big up of yourself. Those who are yet to register, I think it's a continuous process again. Now next year, now that is where we are going to focus on. But so far so good, not so bad. The young people, they are coming. They're coming to light, because these are people who are they're just from schools. They are just from homes where they are used to getting everything. Now they are on their own. Now they are starting to understand how a country operates, and now they really understand that siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya, and it's progressive. They will come to board, all of them, with time.
Where do you think someone gets to realize siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya? At what age? Is it when they get to the age of 18, wamemaliza form 4, sasa kila mtu akona kitambulisho, sasa tuna or is it when they have finished campus and then they realize, now I am on my own, I cannot depend on my mother or my father or my auntie for pocket money. Hii hustle ni yangu sasa peke yangu. At what point do you think someone realizes siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya?
A majority of us, of us, the young people, we don't realize it until we are there. As we said, as the saying it says that if you've not experienced the pain, you don't know the suffering. So until you experience the pain, now that is now when you know the suffering. The pain now starts when you've cleared campus, when you've cleared graduation. Especially, I hate graduations.
You hate them?
I hate them.
Why?
Hate is strong.
Because this is my reason. And I graduated. Now the ceremony, that is not what I don't love. The graduation ceremony.
Expound.
Now, when you're in this ceremony, I wish we can be having ceremonies when you're employed, when napiga sherehe leo sato, Friday sato, Sunday, Monday niko mboka. You get? Monday naingia job.
Mboka is where?
Mboka is job.
Mboka is job. Yani mboka is where you get your mboga. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then majority of the young people who have graduated right now, you go get on the gown, do some makeup, use a lot of money with photo shoot, with inviting guests, with everything. And then those guests, they don't get, most of them even won't come with presents. They'll come eat, celebrate, go home.
I thought you
Take photos.
Take
but I thought you
photos.
invited them to come eat, drink, and be merry. Surely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But now Monday, now you wake up and now it hits you. But they have cleared school. I need to progress, because now you wake up on Monday saa 4 saa 5 because of the fatigue of the weekend.
Yes.
With the sherehe. Now going in delving inside the deeper into the week.
Yes.
And maybe now, because some of them have just graduated right now, it's holiday. But now when it's January 5th, it is now hitting. Mzazi hata hataki kukuona, hata yuko shughuli yako, yashamalizana na wewe, on to the next. Sasa ndo anasukuma mtoto mwingine, wewe ndo unaamsha upeleke mtoto shule, kama uamki kwenda. Now you are confused. Unaanza kwenda wapi? And let me tell you how bad I realized it when I was in campus, and we were told to go and you look for attachment for yourself. Shule kutafuti. It was so hard to get attached somewhere where you're doing that work for free.
Yes.
Where you're doing everything for free. But it is very hard to be absorbed. No, unafanya kazi free. Now, what about when you want to be paid? Now, that was where it was a wake-up call for me. And it is now, that is now where unemployment starts with our country. So, a lot of young people, they realize, by the way, we don't have a good governing system. Hey, niko unemployed. Sasa hapo ndo anataka kuingia kwa public service. Anaangalia ni wangapi wameretire. Na anaanza kufanya research, anaenda anaangalia, hey, hata kuna ghost workers. Kuna watu hawaja washafikisha miaka ya kuretire na hawajaenda home. Kuna watu wanafaa kuandikwa na hawaandikwi. Kama ujuani, kama una mtu huko ndani hauandikwi. And then now it starts now to get chaotic. Now you start saying you need to, you need to follow on what is happening.
Yes.
Now the money that you've been left with, kidogo siju ukisha ingia kwa duka useme nataka hii ya so na uko na thao. Hiyo thao hata utajua ikiisha.
But then you quickly, the moment you break 1,000 bob, I don't know if you guys have experienced this.
Yes, you don't know, imeisha.
The moment you break that 1,000 bob, like you've said, buy 100, get 900 back. Suddenly, before the night ends, you have 150.
How on earth did you get the 1,000 in the first place?
Probably you're salaried.
Precisely. So it was 1,000, and you spent it.
Yes.
So are you saying that when you start spending, you don't know what you spend it on?
No, of course you know what you spend it on, but what he's talking about here is like the demand every single day for money.
I do understand what he's talking about.
It's crazy.
I do understand what he's talking about. Were you ever introduced to having a plan, meaning budgeting? Were you ever introduced to the process of budgeting?
Yes.
Then
Even in campus, there's a unit for even if you're doing which course, medicine or whatever, there's like a unit about, it's called what? I'm forgetting. It's a common unit.
I don't think it's a common unit in all
Universities.
in all courses.
No.
Yeah, in all disciplines.
Anyway,
I
I
guess
remember
also.
it. Yeah.
Because myself, having being in finance, we did now accounting, there's budgeting. Now, I don't think, even in high school.
In campus,
Yeah.
I went to KU, and I remember we had 6 common units, and one of them had to do, I'm forgetting the name of that thing.
Nonetheless, is just basic mathematics.
Yeah,
where
but-
it embodies everything. But yeah.
Because I remember those communication skills, we were taught about HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
And this one was mandatory. You had to do 4 common units, regardless of
how
whichever
many
course.
units of HIV did you study?
One.
First year.
For only first year?
Yeah.
It was a common unit, yes.
Zoology, zoo, yeah, something like that.
I'm forgetting that unit.
but
Those
that-
communication skills.
That is progress.
There's philosophy, there's communication skills, philosophy,
Yeah.
and then there's HIV and AIDS, and
Yes.
then there's now the one for mathematics.
Yes, and
That's very
you are taught, and it even had statistics in there.
Yeah. Those of us who studied education in that time.
It's business maths, one.
Ndaikumbuka ya KU ilikuanga na
The
jina
point I'm
tofauti.
trying to make is if you took certain courses, you were taught budgeting. You couldn't be, for instance, a teacher and not be taught budgeting because you are going to at some point run a school and you would need to understand certain things. The reason why I ask is this, even if you are taught how to budget,
Yes.
but the principles of discipline,
It was called entrepreneurship. Thank you. I've remembered it. The common unit was called entrepreneurship. Thank you. Now you can continue. I had to say it.
But I'm happy for you.
Yes, nimekumbuka elimu yetu entrepreneurship.
There's an element of discipline that accompanies the theory that you learn. Because everybody starts with a salary, and the first salary is always a lot of money in your mind. Because you've never seen that much money. That is yours alone. It is a lot of money for 1 month. But the second month, you're beginning to wonder why these people are underpaying you. By the third month, you are sure they're taking advantage of you. All this work you're doing and for this little pay. That's why that money has found the sort of ways Mbiu is talking about here.
Yes.
Where you do actually wonder where the money went to. Now, the budgeting is, and the discipline that accompanies it. By the way, here I'm theorizing. Do not assume for a single second there's something I followed. No, I did not. We always go through that process because very few of us are culturalized into saving money. It's a culture we do not have. We don't grow up seeing it. We are not encouraged to have it. Those who are don't have that sort of problem. Because whatever they put aside, they never touch it. They know that one you don't touch. It doesn't matter. So with the time you get into the habit and you learn to live within the means that you get.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a simple reality. I say this because when you have the sort of social obligations that we also tend to have, and you haven't configured in your mind the discipline of how to manage that money, you will always not have money.
That is true.
Always. And yet there will be people who earn less than you who seem to be better organized than you.
Yeah.
And probably have the same demands and pulls. Because then that discipline also helps you understand what is urgent and what is important.
Yes.
Because the two are not the same. Sherehe
Utapiga
is urgent, but it's not really important.
right. Sherehe is urgent. You know that can be a proverb, eh?
But it's
not really important.
No, it's not.
As we move on, Salam Zimfikie one Kikombe. He was in KU, but he was ahead of me. He's reminded me that movie. I think you mean entrepreneurship. Yes, Kikombe. Thank you so much. So, Kamau, as we talk about the hits and the misses, there's something you were mentioning about, the way. When you get now into that entrepreneurship, when you've graduated,
it's not when you know.
It's when you know siasa mbaya.
Maisha mbaya.
Yes.
Now it's start dawning on you. Now that is now when you start knowing that we actually live because there exists a government. We can't live. We walk, we wake up, we work, we run, whatever we do. We have this studio and the others because there exists the government. So that is when that is where the young people now start realizing now they need to be part. Now that is now where most of them now have started to be parts. Wengine wanachoka now, wengine wana study the system, wanachoka instead now being part of the solution.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So that's when you realize. I don't know, City, do you resonate with that? At what point did you realize siasa mbaya maisha mbaya?
I realized it very early in life, long before I didn't know the term siasa mbaya maisha mbaya, but long before I even got into secondary school life, I had already begun to understand the direct relationship between politics and what you're referring to as maisha mbaya. I started realizing it. If you had a father who was close to people who formed the opposition party in the 1960s, and he worked for the government, he was going to have a problem.
Yeah.
He would either mark time and never be promoted, or he'd slowly be pushed out of that job. Because the opposition then were considered enemies. This politeness that we have in multi-party, where people just talk about multi-party, that it wasn't there. No, it wasn't. So, and the relationship then was extremely tribal. Then it was assumed that there are certain individuals from a certain tribe who are of necessity troublesome. So that combination made you realize. And how do you realize? You realize because at one moment you live in a certain house. Your father has a certain job. The next moment you're moving from that house. You're not changing schools, but certain things you took for granted are no longer there.
Yes.
Now, the siasa mbaya, the term that we now, the coinage of that term is what encapsulates what it is that you experienced those many, many years ago. Okay? So, that was how we viewed our politics. And it is something that has taken time to get to the point where we can actually understand it to be something that we must not accommodate. And why we must not accommodate it is because the siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya right now, which was primarily and predominantly tribal in the utterances and in the way it was practiced, you had a president, you had a single party, and the president more or less decided everything, literally. The president appointed the prosecutor, appointed the judges, the president appointed the minister, meaning the president
controlled
kabisa, the president could decide anything, literally. You had a parliament, but the parliament belonged to the party, and this party
belonged to the president.
Yes, and the president could depart you, meaning you could cease to be a member of that particular party. That was the end of your politics. Or you could be jailed, or you could be detained, and the detentions were in law. So that was, with hindsight, clearly siasa mbaya. But many of the things that were done were within the constitution. They were not. It's with later years when you realize and became more aware and we realized that there were things called human rights that you could actually practice. And that were not historical or happened just in other countries, that it could happen to you as well. That's when now we began to understand the enormity of the harm that was caused by some of those systems that we had. So the siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya became a reality. That siasa mbaya also meant that if you happen to be in the opposition, you can bet on your life that anything that is referred to as development would never reach your area.
Yeah.
It was tied in with development. Those who fought this second liberation and brought in the county government understood this. And that is why we said, no, this devolution, we need to have it. So that it isn't, the money isn't just coming from one source. You take it as close as possible to the people. But what have we seen? It is the same thinking that predominates even the county system.
Yeah.
If there is whoever the governor is will come from a certain part of that county. And many governors will favor the part of the county they come from. They'll favor the people who come from wherever it is they come from. Okay? It's taking us time to get rid of all this. The good thing is, we are doing something we were never able to do before. We can talk about it openly like we're doing now.
Yeah.
And you can challenge. Why? Because we have a constitution that gives you the strength to actually challenge it and even take it to court. And you can have the decisions that are made by these individuals overturned. The enormity of what I've just said cannot fully dawn on you until you lived through a different experience where that was not possible. And that's why, in my mind, it's unattainable that you should have governors who do nothing but plunder the money that is intended for their people. Because now these people, you can't get closer. Those are their people. We all come from some place, and your governor comes from the place you come from. So it is no longer the national government. That's why I marvel when I hear people focusing their attention on the president and the national government. I wonder, why aren't you talking about your counties? Because these counties, bar a few, represent the same problems that we see at the national level.
Yeah.
And they do have money. What we hear is that it's not enough, but we rarely hear what they've done with the money they've been given. And the focus is always on the politics as opposed to the people whom they're supposed to serve. So the siasa mbaya here, in my opinion, is the continuation of that politics that we had, where politics takes center stage, and the citizenry doesn't come second, third, or fourth. The citizenry announce at 10 going backwards.
After other priorities.
Yes. And yet our constitution took care of that and ensured that the citizen was made the sovereign.
Yeah. So Kamau, then, how do we change the narrative? How does, especially these folks that we call the youth, change the narrative, especially going forward? Because if they do not do that, then unfortunately we shall inherit, or rather they shall inherit the problems of the yester generations, akina CT sasa.
Now we have to wake up. We have to now gather ourselves up and now be part of the solution. We have to be active in politics. We have to be at the tables where those decisions are being made. We have to project out our voices so that we we are hard because now these young people are learned. They're learned and they have the exposure that is needed. They have exposed even to what is happening to other nations. So for them to take part, for there to be a change, they have to be part and parcel of the progress. And it is a process. It is a progressive process. It is not a simple process. It is a progressive process. Where people now, we have to wake up. You have to be part. You have to go and learn on governance, learn your constitution, know which government department of the government does what, where you're going to, to project your woes. Yes, so we have to take part, and number one, we have to register as a voter. You have to take part in voting,
of which they're not registering,
and of which they are not registering
in the numbers that we expect.
Which is actually very sad. But that is the first.
Why is it sad?
That is the first step.
Why is it sad?
Because we'll not get the change, and they'll continue talking. The young people will continue complaining, and they are not part of the change. I wish most of them, they speak from I did this, I did that. Let them change.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do young people feel they have a role to play in the running of this country?
Well, speaking for myself, yes.
That's a good start, yes?
Yes.
And this running, in helping, what do you see your role as?
Being part of the change of where we need our country to go.
If I were to ask you to demonstrate it, how would it manifest? What would it look like, this thing that you just said?
The change or what?
If you're going to be part of the change, how do I know you're part of the change?
Okay.
What do I need to see to know, this is now being part of the change?
Okay.
Because like now I can say, you're in the studio. Why? Because I can see you. Yes.
Now, myself being part of the change, one is I have to register as a voter. I have to vote. Now, if I feel I am called to lead, it is good I participate in the leadership. Now I participate, and now going to the people and asking them to vote for me so that I can be part of the change that I speak of.
Why do you think young people don't want to register?
Actually, as we ask that question, let me introduce our second guest. This is Kipkorir Brian, National Youth Affairs at UDA. Kip, good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Uko salama, eh?
Kabisa.
Karibu kwenye conversation.
Thank you.
I think you've had the question CT has asked. Yeah, CT, kindly repeat it for the sake of the person who's also joining the conversation.
I have several questions, but let me summarize the questions I'm asking. Do the youth feel that they have a role to play in governing the country, the nation and if they have a role, what would this role look like? I mean, when I look at you and the things you are doing, what do I need to see to understand that you're actually participating? Now, Kamau was saying he would register and then he'd talk to the people. That's what he was saying. Yes. And I was going to ask another question. But now, if I were to ask you the same question, what would you say?
Thank you so much, CT. And thank you also for the coming of the end of the year and coming across you physically, one-on-one in this studio of Radio Generation.
What, you've heard of me spiritually?
Virtually. So your question is very good and is in broader ways, how the youth can play in the national building and also for transformation of this country. And I'll say this, when you look into our population, demographically, we are the majority with 75%, and hoping that will be continuing going forward. And that's something that puts again back to where does the country invest too much to? Then it means it is in education. And this is where now the junk of the youths are. And then it means the youths are playing the most important role in terms of the human capital development in this country. And that's why when you go into each and every sector, you'll find them most being employed. That's number one way that they're playing the role of transforming this country, where now they're playing in terms of owning the skill that they have. But again, when it comes to political way of this country, again, it come only in the factor of whether they want to vote or vote on the basis of whom they want to vote in. And again, the question will go back to, again, the same youths like me. Are we voting for people, which kind of principles or which kind of ethics that we are considering? So again, for youth to translate for the transformation of this country, because most of the things depend on the political will. And for this political will to go in a transformational kind of a way, then it means the youths has to consider the way they are going to vote for their candidates. And again, now, for that voting to happen, then it means the youths have to register for taking the votes. And for these votes, again, to translate to their leader, then it means they have to stand on their values and to understand which kind of the manifesto are being sold to them. So these are things that the young people have to understand. And again, being a youth doesn't mean that is a direct translation to that you are going to make an effective change for the country. Then again, it means you must package yourself with the sense that what do you understand when it demands to the kind of the public integrity that is required for any leader to come into office. So there are things that the young people have to learn, first of all, and again, they must go back to themselves to have a retrospect to understand that for this kind of a change to come, what kind of things that I have to consider. And those considerations, we are Christian. We are majorly a Christian country. So it means we know the values of a person who's supposed to lead us. We have the Constitution, which again put very clear on the issues that we are supposed to understand when it comes to a leader who is going to hold a public office. So all these kind of things come in place by understanding what exactly that you are intending to do. But again, for a young person, you must understand the kind of a leader who comes to place in terms of bringing the country into the fold, in terms of bringing the economies to the foot of this country. Again, understanding that whatever that we are facing, like job opportunities, is very low. How are we going to create those kind of job opportunities? And again, those are things that our youths are supposed to see for the leaders. And another thing that I usually feel like as a young people also we must do is also to understand the national values that we aspire as a country. Because I'm seeing a situation where we are not that much patriotic. And if we are patriotic in this country, then it means we must not draw ourselves to the bare minimum of leaders that we want to choose coming 2027 in election.
You know, when we vote in this country, we are not just voting in people, we tend to vote out people as well.
Indeed.
And sometimes, if I look at the exodus of elected leaders, I would argue we are voting out people.
Yeah.
Because the number of people who exit are actually more. The turnover that we have with our elected leaders is actually fairly high. Do young people understand why it is important for them to be involved in the politics of the country?
I'll be very bold on this, and I'll say this. I don't think all the young people, very few. And for me, if I will use the arithmetic values, then I'll say just 10%.
Why?
Out of the 75.
Because the political wokeness in the country is not yet there.
Why?
Because with all challenges that we are facing, because the youth in Nairobi and the youth in Wajir and the youth in Busia and any other part of the country, in Taita Taveta or in Mombasa, they don't have the same reflect in terms of the issues that are going on in this country.
What makes you think that is so?
That's so because of digital penetration. Remember, we are at 27 as a country. It
27 what percent?
Yes. So it means the issues that we are facing again in terms of digital penetration, understanding what is going on. Because we are still relying, also in other part of the country, maybe they're relying on the traditional media of outlet of the news. But again, the conversation within the young people themselves on how this country should be like is not at the same par. And this is something that if we are not in the same trail and the same situation where we are talking about the same conversation, then it means that somebody or some people are lagging behind in terms of the conversation. The vision that we are sharing about Singapore, I'm sure if the young person in Busia, the same, I'm assuming, will not have the same way they are speaking about it. Maybe hearing about Singapore just because it's being said.
I wish they would stop talking about Singapore.
I wish the same.
I honestly wish
the
they
same.
would stop talking about Singapore, because it is not that the example is a bad example. The story about Singapore is not told in its entirety, and why it is we relate to Singapore.
Amen.
That story isn't told. But even if it is told, there are countries that are very advanced that we can relate to a lot easier. One of them is Iceland. Iceland, among the things they have done to change their country, is to use the natural resources they have, something which we also have in abundance. It's called geothermal power. We've only used 10%. They have used more of a percentage. They also have hydropower. We also have hydropower. They have wind power. We also have wind power. We have solar power, which they don't have much of. Okay?
Yeah. And we don't make use of it.
No, we do not. I am saying this.
To go to Singapore.
That when the things, I personally like what I hear the president talking about. I do. You have to talk a dream. You have to talk about a future. Then let the debate of how to get there begin. But it must be spoken of. We just can't keep
talking. And
we can't be stuck here in this third world banana republic thinking that we have. You have to move out of that mold and start thinking. And the more vicious the discussion is, the better. It means people are expressing what they feel, their fears, their aspirations, their limited understanding of it. The debate is good. Now, this is where the young people come in. You know why? That first world status or developed world status will not come tomorrow. It will come in your lifetime when you people are around my age. By that time, you'll be grandparents. And your grandchildren will be asking you what it is that you did.
You did.
Yes. Like we can be asked rightfully what it is that we have done. And I'll tell you, my generation, the one just ahead of us, are the ones who brought in the second liberation. They're the ones who brought in this new constitution that people are enjoying. They're the ones who brought in multi-party. I can tell you that. Even if I did nothing, I can claim that
generation did it.
Yes. Even if I was an absolute sellout at that particular point in time.
even if you were there singing other terms when other people were singing different terms.
Yes.
But Siti, as we continue, something that the Kikombe has brought up, but I'd like to just point out two things.
Yeah.
Number one, Kenya, and I'm picking them out from what you have said specifically. Kenya is we are a diverse culture. So that means, number one, different faiths. And you're right when you said majority, Christians. However, others are very dominant as well. We have Muslims, we have Hindus, and many others. Even atheists now, they have come out and there are very many. What tells us what to do within our ranks is our constitution, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of our faith.
Yes.
Because chapter 6 of the constitution, when we talk about article 73, 74, 75, 76, all the way to 79, those ones tell us explicitly what to do, whether you're an elected leader or an appointed one, a political one, or otherwise. Indeed. Chapter 6 is very clear, regardless of your faith. Then number 2, digital penetration is quite high. Number 1, we are currently... It has been registered by mid of 2025. We had about 73.2 million devices. That's a penetration of 139%. So digitally, tuko vizuri sana. We have network issues here and there. Maybe we might say Turkana network iko mbaya kidogo. But as far as digital penetration is concerned, we are very much penetrated. Now, there's a question, or rather there's a point here that has been raised by the Kikombe. Kikombe amesema hivi, what is it that makes people assume that just by voting things will change? Voting is just a tiny thing. Oversight after voting is most important. Start with the person in office now, not future. And I remember Citi has brought this up a couple of times, and I usually ask myself, okay,
a couple, all the time.
So we have these leaders in office, and we keep on saying, how do we hold them accountable? How do we ensure that they're doing what they're supposed to do? And I'll start with you, Kamau. How do we hold the person in office accountable today as we think about voting for someone who embodies chapter 6 of the Constitution?
It is by calling them out. Like, for example, I'll always use myself as an example, because that is what I know best, and maybe others that I know of. My member of parliament has misplaced 146 mic. That is from the Auditors General's report.
Citi is wondering what mic is. 146 million.
From...
it migrated. It stopped being million, it became mic.
It's just a slang word for million.
All right, Mr. Mike, carry
on. Yes. Yeah, and it is there in that audit report. I think I'll share it. And it has a lot of other misplaced funds from other constituencies. Now, how do we call these people out and we ensure that they're on check? We have to go to them We have to call them out. We have to expose them to the public which is very busy doing other things, trying to chase life because it is very hard to be. We are living in very hard times now. Now, us who are in that space, in that realm, that is now where we have to gather that knowledge and information, and we have to share it with other people and tell them. Number two, how do we keep them accountable? A couple of months ago, my community in my home constituency, in one location that is very, very much behind, we went for
What do you mean behind?
Well, in terms of development, in the same constituency, but it is the
Least developed.
It is the least developed.
What are the manifestations of this lack of development? What does one see there?
One, compared to other.
What don't I see, which I should see?
Now, that's where I'm
That's
coming.
the question, yes.
Compared to other locations, this member of parliament would go and say, I've done this for this location, I've done this for this location, I've done this for this ward, I've done this and this. But in that specific ward, he has done nothing. He has not lobbied for he has not lobbied for any road. He has not lobbied. There's a market that has stalled there for 7 years. A market is supposed to be built, to be managed by the county government. Yes, it's supposed to be built by whoever, but the Wanjiko does not care. They just want to see a market that is working. Now we have a member of county assembly who is actually the first person with first hand, but she is quiet. This other guy, the member of parliament, who is actually more closer to the governor than any other Wanjiko, because he can just walk in the governor's office and tell him, the governor, I need that market done. And if you don't do it, they are. That is why they are leaders. They are there to represent.
So this is
listen.
Okay.
So that area, there is no market. One that has stalled for 7 years. That town has had no entrance nor an outlet. So the business is there.
They fly.
They drop in from the sky.
Let me tell you, we used to use longer routes to get into that area, but now that area, the businesses there were dying. There's no business that would work. And mind you, this town is on along the Nakuru highway. It is one of the major towns along that route.
It is or was?
It is. But now what we did as a community.
Why does it sound like Gilgil?
No, it's not Gilgil. It is just here in Limuru. It is not even far. Now, what we did as a community, we held a community meeting. We started saying, by the way, these people, we elect them, we get them in office, and this and this and this is not what we are pleading for. We are demanding for. Now, from there, we went on media, and we told them, by the way, if you will not do this and this and this and that,
out.
Where? You cannot go out right now, but you will face the music. And actually, right now, to begin with, you're not coming back. You're not coming back.
This
but
is now the MCA.
Yeah, and the MP. And whoever, if you're not going to do A, B, C, D,
right,
this one and this is going to happen. And we actually threatened to close the road, the Nakuru Nairobi highway.
The one entrance you had gone.
If we close that road, there's nothing that would happen in. There's nothing that would happen on from Limuru going upwards.
Okay.
Remember, there are a lot of lorries taking goods to Uganda. So you have actually stopped a lot of economic activities happening in the Rift Valley going back. Okay. You have stopped a lot of movement and businesses happening in Nairobi because you are the center. Let me tell you. But it is our democratic right
to be criminal.
No, not to be criminals. We are striking. We are holding a demonstration to picket. That is what we are doing. Let me tell you, CT.
I wish
it worked. It worked.
It worked. So you didn't need to stop lorries.
Today, the contractor is on site. The market has really progressed. Okay. It's almost 70% done from 20%. The road that had stalled, right now, the contractor is on site running up down very fast. So it works. So that is how you keep accountable of these leaders, by demanding. By the way, and you're not borrowing and you're not requesting.
Kamau,
yes,
there's this time, actually was it yesterday, I think, City, we had someone here complaining of all these markets that have been built that we are not using. So there's someone who's not advising this government well of where to build and where not to build. Because if you guys, because there are people who actually are saying that there are markets zinajengwa kwa na wazihitaji. Kuna markets zimejengwa na hata hazitumikangi. No one is even interested in them. Yet we have an area like umesema ni wapi tena?
Hapa Rironi.
And
then if the kind of market that is being built there, it is I won't call it a cowshed, because it is just an election of chuma na inawekwa shade juu.
Okay,
chuma shade juu,
hapa ndani hakuna kitu.
Hapa ndani wanakuja sasa kuweka gunia chini, na slab ya nani, gunia chini na kuweka sijui unajitengenezea na mbao, and it is along the major road, major highway. But uko ndani there is one in Kekambura, in Kikuyu, there is another one in Ngesha, in Kiambu. Ucha ndani katikati wameweka a modern market.
Yes,
but along a major highway
nothing.
Let me ask you, we lack yani kazi tu ni kujenga. And then City, it is not just projects, projects that make sense, things that are progressive.
Kip is itching to say something.
I want to say something as we proceed.
Go ahead.
When you said about digital penetration, is one other thing versus digital literacy.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can hold these phones, but
we don't know how to use
using
them.
It's something that is something that is far away apart.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to ask my friend here a good question. He said that for that MP to initiate building of that market was by the nature of that they demanded it. So you see now the problem of demanding something and then quickening it, now give it to a very bare minimum setup of a market. I think if that MP would be given a time and be appreciated with that kind of understanding and be given a timeline, I think that would be the best option. Because I believe, if you threaten any human being, we have two responses, either fight or flight. And then now for the response for the MP was to give them what they demand. But again, it didn't come with the standard. And I think sometimes we have to sit down with our member of parliaments and ask them, this is the kind of a modern kind of a market we want you to build for us. Because again, it goes back to the public. But demanding things again, and then given the basic that are not even meeting the requirements for that market, within some short period of time, then it disrupt itself. I think that is very bad.
Brian,
yes.
You have come across such a leader, the one you've just described, where people talk to about the things they want to build and that they agree and people build. You've come across such a person?
I don't know why this leader always go far away from the citizens after being elected. I have not understand the science behind that. But I think it's a reflection of the people who elect these leaders.
Yes.
Because if we can be standing on the roadside and telling Mheshimiwa, Toa, from that day that he was elected to the last day that you again maybe re-elected or voted out. So this is something again that we as the citizens, we as the electorate, we need to work on that. Because
actually, it is we as the employer of this person.
Yes.
Who employs somebody and then allows them to just do what they want. You employ someone because there's something you wanted them to do for you.
Yes.
That's the whole point of employment. And it's not at once a month.
Yes.
Every single day you want to ensure they complete the tasks you set for them. That's how we employ people. Every elected leader is your employee. Please,
that is true.
This is not your lord and master. No, you are the lord and master. This is your servant. Now, these servants have understood that they are our lords. You and your shida. They believe they are the ones who should tell us what to do. This thing that you speak of, when you demand, these are intelligent people, they will realize that that job is at stake. They'll realize the employer has woken up and the employer may relieve them of the job. That's what happened in Kamau's
Rironi.
Yes. Those fellows realize this thing is going to go. Because the voting public, they're not threatening to burn your house, they're just telling you,
You wait.
You wait. You see, you wait. So we elected you.
Nimekumark.
I beg to reply.
Yes, please.
What happened, my brother? That market, and it is not the MPs. It started 7 years ago. That is COVID time. The drawing that whatever the community when the head are sitting and they asked for a modern market, and they were told by the governor then, we are going to give you a modern market. Now, that is it. A tender was rolled out and it was out. Now, the traders who are occupying the market then were told now to please get out. This is now a contractor site. Then mabati kapigwa, contractor akakuja, hawakujua ni nini inajengwa. Now with time ndo wanaona kumeekwa chuma juu na mabati, and then they were like wait no, and then kidogo tukasikia hiyo market imesimama kwa sababu ya funding. My friend, kitu hata yezi pitisha 5 million saizi imetumia 30 mic. Now that is another thing that we are supposed to count.
And 30 mic, and has it been completed?
No, haikuwa imemalizika.
30 mic na ni mabati na gunia.
I swear you can Google that thing. I'll even show you the photos. You'll see what had costed 30 mics. And then it stalled for 7 years. Now the community ikafika kwa brim. Wa governor akafukuzwa, kwanza alifukuzwa na impeachment.
Okay.
And then kukakuja mwingine, hakumaliza. And then sasa kukaelektiwa huyu wa saa hizi.
Na MP
sasa MP bado ni the same.
Mulirudisha the same guy.
No, by the way, this one is a county. It's telling it's a county.
It's a county project.
Yeah. MCA
na MCA it is a sad affair kwa sababu the MCA then is still the MCA now.
So you guys elected the same guy.
And then she was the nominated MC and a member of budget committee. Now she was elected.
Okay.
And became a chair of the national of the budget committee.
Okay.
Not national, the county government budget. Now the same project stalled. Now people had to threaten up for the project to be completed. By the time I was seeing that tender and the budgeting of that tender, by the time that market will be completed, it will have costed almost 52 million. Something that has never been heard of. A modern market, my friend, is costing around 40-50, and it is stalled mawe. Hata ina mawe hata moja ya kupanda.
And it is storied.
Ni chuma tu na mabati.
Okay, like City
na kabro.
Is it storied like kuna gorofa ya kwanza ya pili?
Ushaisikia chuma story bro. Ni chuma moja ni shade ya ng'ombe. That's what I'm saying. It's a cattle dip.
So they were building something resembles a gold post, only that it was covered on the top. So
exactly. So that's what I'm saying, my brother. We need there's a lot now that is happening, and that is how I'm wondering to go to City's point of Singapore.
Right.
Singapore's dream. City was trying to say the story. I wish we could have been clear. Singapore started. The story of Singapore is between 1965 to 2000. 35 good years. In Singapore, they made the law, and the law was respected. Here, the law fears the leader, and these leaders who are corrupt are the ones who make that, who amend and make the laws. In Singapore. And that is why it is very sad to use Singapore as an example. And it is what tunaenda Singapore. It is very sad. Corruption there was dealt with vizuri. Hapa corruption ndo master. It is a business. You know, pale kukua in leadership and being in political office it was a service. Here it is an investment, my brother. How are we going to get now to this Singapore, where a market that is costing 5 million ends up costing 10 times more?
Yeah.
I wish the government, with the infrastructure fund that you come up now, they would first of all tackle devolution. How are we going to get to Singapore and we're still having a lot of pending bills not paid? And then the county governments are still not yet funded. The 15% they're supposed to be getting, they're still begging the government to give them that. And now these the year, because tunaongea mambo ya mwaka tumeisha sasa na Singapore. Sasa how are we going to have a country go to Singapore where we are having thieves walk around here and they are our leaders and they are not accounted for?
The president said he's going to take us into a first world status.
How?
At whatever cost.
But you see, at whatever it takes, hiyo ni mudomo. Na hiyo mudomo ndo tunaambiwa tuache.
Actually, you have to start by talking about it.
Yes.
the president is right in talking about it.
Yes.
He is right. As I said, the debate that we're now having is opened up. You see what you're saying? You will say your piece and say why you don't see it, how, and someone will tell you, well, I see it as possible, and the debate goes on. The thing that stands out in the example you give of Singapore, there was a Minister for National Development. He was called Te Chiang Wan. This man was being investigated for a bribery claim of $1 million. Investigated. The man hung himself. The shame. Investigated. Here, the court finds someone guilty. Anyway,
and he's still in parliament.
He's still story yetu tuache kwa sababu why anaiwacha. If we do not respect, and this one is not about political leaders only. Have you seen how the motorbike riders treat the law? Have you witnessed it?
They burnt a bus yesterday.
Now that's the culmination of the lawlessness that we witness, and it is the same the country over.
Indeed.
Have you seen how they disregard traffic lights? Have you seen how they overtake? Have you seen how they hit your mirror and they stop the bike and they ask you, they've hit your mirror? Where? Say, and I'm thinking, yani, this guy.
Unadhani barabara ni yako.
Now, precisely. Precisely. The point I'm making is they are the example of the escalation of lawlessness and what it becomes. That they burnt a bus at Salga tells you what the example of lawlessness leads to. Where the citizenry now follow the example of lawlessness, and that is what they do. And the bulk of the people who ride motorbikes are young people. And that is how they treat the law. Someone hits you with a motorbike, hits your car. In exactly 10 seconds, around 20 of them, and they're baying for your blood. They have hit you.
Yeah.
That's lawlessness. They actually believe they're a law unto themselves. Now, what do you think happens when these people are not riding their motorbikes and they're engaged by politicians to create lawlessness? Because that is what happens.
You know, I was watching on this issue of bribery and lawlessness and whatever and constitutionalism. I was watching a video sometime this week, and it was of an African blogger, African vlogger, YouTuber, was in a European country, and then they were he was coming from the airport. He had taken a taxi, so as he was being driven to his hotel, akona pikipiki ya askari imepita, and then he was like, "Oh, your cops do nini?" Then he asked this driver, "Do they take bribes?" Do you know the driver of this taxi alimwangalia ni kama amemtukana. He was like, what do you take? Like, this was a foreign concept to him. Because in Africa, we're used to bribing policemen all the time. They stop you for a traffic offense, unapatia 500, you're let off, right? So when this person, and I saw the genuine reaction of this taxi driver, and I was like, why is he so shocked? It's a simple question. Do they take bribes? Just say no and move on, or say yes and move on. But he was like, what? And that for me was a moment I was like, this is a normal citizen mwenye anaangalia bribery as such a big deal. Yet here we are bribing cops and other people left and center.
We've normalized lawlessness. It is normalized. Now, where the citizens come in, you see the question about young people continues. How do young people relate to the law? Do they think it's a suggestion? Because my generation think it's a suggestion.
Yeah. We were just talking about constitutionalism and bribery and
no, we're talking about the law.
Treating
the law.
It's the
for
law.
sure.
It's lawlessness.
Yes. The issue of bribery, when you contextualize it about the relationship we have with the law, that's what you were saying. Somebody asks a taxi driver in a foreign country, and the guy almost drives off the road.
Yes, because he was offended.
What on earth is this person talking
That
about?
question, yes.
Would you believe if I told you that there was a time in this country you could not bribe a policeman? You bribe a policeman, utafungwa.
Really?
Yes.
Kenya.
Yeah, yes, I'm telling you. But that's one of the benefits of having lived long. Like you'll be telling your grandchildren that you know in this country there were animals called giraffes. And they're saying, giraffes? Yes, this picture. Because we'll have killed all the giraffes by the time you guys are grandparents. So you'll be telling his story.
when they become extinct.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you don't manage resources. That's why I'm giving the example. Our history,
Yeah.
our economic history is a sad one. Sad in that we seem to retrogress with every electoral cycle, not move forward. Why I say move backwards? From a country that had structures and pillars and policies that people came to borrow. The Malaysians came here to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. The Singaporeans came here. This is a story that they came, and the argument is, but they came and did. Yes, they did. What they did and what we've been unable to do. Mahathir Mohamad, the Malaysian leader, Lee Kuan Yew, the people they had around them had the same vision as them. When your vision deviated, you moved aside. They were a group of people who had the same interest for the country, and they were willing to propel that country ahead. And they all worked in unison to move the country ahead. At independence, we had exactly that. These people were actually patriotic. They wanted to prove to the colonial master that they could actually do just as well as them, and they went about it okay. Then the politics that we know of now, this is the mature form of it, began. And it started taking us backwards. Institutions that we had that were some of the pillars for the development processes and policies we had were slowly killed. Let me give you an example. In agriculture, we had what we call the Agricultural Finance Company. Its role was really very simple. It financed agricultural activities at whatever level. When you wanted to understand how it is done, we had ADC farms. You went there so that you could actually see how this thing could be done to perfection, and then you went to do it. We, at the local level, we then had officers who would come and actually teach the people within, at the village level, how these things are done. They taught you hygiene for the children, how to boil water. Basics. When it came to things like these buildings we are speaking of, the municipality laws demanded that every time you put up a house in town, it had to have a water retention system. And that's why you see those gutters at the top of the houses. So you always collected water. So even when there wasn't tapped water, you always had water. Why? We harvested rain. When it came to the idea of wanting to go into commercial business, bless you, we had something called Kenya Industrial Estates. You have a business, they would finance you, they would handhold you, they'd move you forward to the point where if you didn't have a place to do the business, it was called estates because they had the space for you to work in. When you grew and had a bigger business, you then went to ICDC. Okay? ICDC then afforded you an even bigger platform and more money. You hear of Uchumi Supermarkets that was there before Nakumar. That's what they did. You've heard of things like Kenatco. You've heard of Africa Tours and Hotels. They were industries that covered every sector that this country considers important, and the government had a hand in it. ICDC was the government arm for promoting business. So they would invest in those businesses. So you'd find a business and the government has an interest in it. That is what we did. We were that far ahead. That is a model that China uses. That's a model that Korea uses. That's a model that Japan uses. All these big corporations of theirs, the government invests in it. It's run commercially, but the government invests in it. We were there in the 60s and 70s. We were already there. This is not a T. When I say we moved backwards, we did move backwards. Now, here we are. The things you hear people talking about, these are not new. These are things that we did and we were doing and we knew about. So when we find ourselves in a situation where something that changed is the demographics, there were more elderly people and middle-aged people than young people. That demographic has changed. Now it is the inversion. The people who are around and who are the most are young people. And it is a wonderful thing for a country to have a young population. You know why? Your future is guaranteed. But this future is bleak when you look at what we have and what the youth represent. And that's why I went to the piki riders. Those are youthful people. So long as you have a culture that is embedded in a significant and visible part of the youth. And what you see in terms of the relationship with the law is a disregard for it. It is not a good thing. And that is a problem that we, my generation, have brought to you. Because the generation of my fathers are more or less all gone. We brought it because we picked up some of these nasty habits that our fathers have, and we've continued with it. And you who are our children, you now follow in our footsteps. But this has to come to an end.
Imagine how it would be in this country if you didn't have to bribe a cop because, or rather, you can bribe if you want, but the cop doesn't take your bribe. You shouldn't bribe, but let's assume the cop doesn't take your bribe, no matter how much you give them. Not 500, not 50 bob, not 50,000.
They arrest you instead and charge you for breaking.
Yes. Tell me, ni watu wangapi wangekuwa wanaendesha gari kama wamelewa?
You would not dare.
Yani, it doesn't matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter the power position you have in this country. Ukiwa umepatikana drunk driving, my friend, unafungwa. Tell me how many drunk drivers would be having on the roads? Almost none. Very few, if at all any.
Yes.
Imagine how many roadworthy vehicles would be having on the roads. Cars would be having their insurance updated. That means the insurance industry would be thriving, because the number of cars being driven on the roads today without insurance, because unajua ni ukishuka na karao, hata ukifika pale kwa OB utapeana 2,000 uachiliwe na life iendelee. Hiyo ni pesa ingeenda kwa insurance company. Imagine how many tire companies right now would be thriving because your car tires are are roadworthy and all that. So you can imagine, and that is just one sector alone. One sector. Tell me, if bribes were not being taken in the judiciary, how many people would be having justice today? Proper justice. Shamba yako utanyang'anywa. Yes? Your loved one who died, you will get justice for them because the person who perpetrated that particular crime has been arrested. You might not get your loved one back, but justice has been served. And I look at those situations and I envy these countries where people go to and they are saying, here, bribery. Hey, my friend, by the time you get a cop who will take your bribe, tutafuta na utakuwa umefungwa mara kadhaa before upate mtu.
Even in that Singapore narrative of infrastructure and everything, if we would be not be having corrupt officers in these government departments in Kera, Kenha, Kura, whichever
National Construction Authority.
Yes, NCA. How many buildings will be complete today?
Yes.
How many roads will be complete?
And
of good standard.
Yes.
Now that is, if you're talking like that, my brother, we're talking about Singapore, not a road somewhere I saw. It is only atini tamak inapigwa rangi bro. Unafikaje Singapore?
So,
nani mara imepigwa rangi ya black.
You know me.
Yeah, and then there's no one who's being held accountable.
Wait for my turn.
Yeah. This road here from here Nairobi to Rironi, it has tolled for almost
the Rironi Mausamet Highway.
A104. No, from town to Rironi, it A104. And then the president went ahead to launch now Rironi to now Mau Summit.
The dual link now.
Now from here to Rironi, that road has tolled for over 5 years. 5 years, lakini ameenda ahead kuendelea na hiyo ingine, na hiyo hata haijamalizika. A lot, hakuna bridges. Go to here in Kangemi. Footbridges hakuna. This Kangemi, the yani litter everywhere.
Let me cheer you up. With the expressway on that Mombasa road, count the number of footbridges just so that you understand. Now that did not happen in the time of this president's presidency.
Yes.
We have to contextualize things without necessarily apportioning blame where blame shouldn't be. We must apportion blame.
Yes.
We have to. There's no saying somebody who didn't do what they were supposed to do. It must be said this person did not.
That is true. They do it.
For instance, we have a situation where there's some people who want to vie for the presidency. We must look at their history and look at what they have done before.
That is true. That is right.
I admit this. People who make mistakes do something. That if you don't do anything, you can't make that mistake. They do something. But did they know and understand that they could have done better? We will judge you, definitely. Yes. Those who say things, we must also contextualize what they're saying. Are they in a position to actually do something beyond saying it? Or do they think that their job is simply to say things? We have to be able to hold people to account, and this is what you do. You measure what they do, you measure what they say, you look at what needs to be done, and you wonder, is this person really doing what they're supposed to do correctly?
Exactly.
Your people have learned to hold the leaders to account. The blocking of the road is criminal, but you have learned to tell them, folks, this job done at the rate you're going. And I thank the people of Rironi, because if we knew how to hold our leaders to account, not violence, not threatening to burn their houses, no, you just don't attend their meetings. That's number one. Number two, any money that they offered, you tell them, no thank you, we do not want your money, you just build what we told you to build. They'll stop giving people money because there's nobody to take it. They will actually bother now to come around and ask, guys, this is the plan. How would you like us to help you? And you start the conversation, they tell you, oh, you want to know, and they tell you. We have a duty. I started early on by asking you the relationship between young people and the law, and the relationship with what the young people consider to be in running the country. I have not left that question. It is still what I'm asking. Brian, you want to say something?
Yes. When we talk about how the country is ravaging itself back to being lawlessness, and perhaps we have one of the fine document, which is our Constitution 2010, since its promulgation. So when I look into the young people themselves, what are they trying to do to make the situation better or worse? But I will say, as of course, what we saw in 2024 during the protest, it was the right to picket, the right to demonstrate, the right to air out their views the way they want. But again, in that midst, what were the things that were not right? And this again, now you find a situation whereby some died, some get injured, some even get disappeared, and they're not traceable until at this moment. So some things also comes from us, because sometimes as we proportion ourselves in a certain cause, I'm assuming we, all of the people in the street, we are not sharing the same view of the people who are coming in that street. Some are coming to what we call Omekuja Mboka, in the street of the Nairobi. So while the few genuine people are on the street, particularly the Gen Zs, again inside there were these goons who are also present in that the demonstration. And they're walking the course. So sometimes there's a situation that we find ourselves. Sometimes you may intend to do something good, but again, some few elements again have bad intention, and then it put the whole individual in the same situation, because they say mtego wa panya ushiko aliyekuwepo na usiyekuwepo. And then the question is, how can we differentiate ourselves from such kind of a situation? Because me, somebody that I'm very sophisticated, I understand the law. If I go to the street to demand for my right, I'm hoping I will go direct with my placard to that institution that I'm supposed to hear my views. If it's going to their gate, I will go. But again, in that same picketing, we have some individuals, some elements, who their sole purpose there is to wreckage there, the kiosk, the shop of the phones, and even tamper with some of the institutional fencing and even the institutional properties that are there. So sometimes, again, we find ourselves in such a situation, not because we are intending, but again because there are certain people with such habit, they want to break the law. But we're asking ourselves, are these people breaking the law because they want to break the law? Or is it because they're breaking the law because somebody has inflicted that an idea that if you break the law in the midst of these people, then again the blame will go back to these people? So sometimes the complexity of this situation is very advanced. And to point out and to say this is the situation at the moment, it becomes very difficult. But again, I'll still ask the young people. I've shared literally like 20 town hall meetings with the president, at the same time me myself chairing those meetings. And I can tell you, when you're trying to put a very engagetive kind of conversation to the young people, and they already made their mind that they don't want to listen to you. But again, how will you boost somebody and you have not even gotten the context? Did you just say that conversation?
The young people, you've tried convening young people and they do not want to
No,
listen.
For me, I've managed.
Okay.
For me, I've managed because I can navigate with them with my logos, ethos, and everything that I needed to navigate that conversation because I stand credible in their conversation. But again, if they have put that stand to the leaders, that even today, a certain MP come to our place and want to talk about the issues of roads, water, electricity. But again, because we have made our mind already, we just have to boo him or her.
Why do you think they make? Is it that they are instigated by others who may be opposed to that particular person or who want a similar job to go and boo him? Because
there has to be a reason.
There is some reason, and the culture we have, where just like you can hire cheerleaders, you can also hire goons. So it's a business model for politics in this country.
And then it goes back again this way. At any certain moment, I usually find very difficult to understand why do we have to tell because the role of an MP is oversight, legislation, and policy making.
No, and budget making.
And budget making. Yes, very effective. And that budget comes from the executive.
No.
Yes.
No.
They have to propose on the plan that they are intending to achieve. Like for instance, we as the UDA, we have better, which have its own pillars.
Let me explain to you why I'm saying no. I understand how we operationalize that budget making process. The budget doesn't come from the executive. The budget must come from the people. The budget is seeking to meet needs of the citizens, not seeking to implement the plan of the executive. Please understand this.
I get you.
So if it is the plan of the executive, then I would ask, how do we know that it is what the people need? Because the people who are elected directly to represent the people and their voices are the parliamentarians, not the ministers. Those are appointed by the president, not the permanent secretaries, the directors. Those are civil servants who are supposed to implement everything, all the things we talk about. Their job is to implement these things.
City, a government is driven by plan.
There has to be a plan.
And that plan should be strictly adhered to until at the point that it materializes and it brings transformation to the country. This scenario we have seen for the most of the time, for the governors and for the president. Each electioneering period, after changing of the government or voting out the governor, the project stalls. And the cure of this, again, does go back to the long planning. Because if we can change a governor today, and we had an intention of building an hospital, and that hospital was to be situated in a certain location, I'm assuming, and then now it is at 20%. And because we voted out that governor then come in with a new plan. But the intention of that hospital that was to be built there was to again to help the community there. So all of these things, it goes back to the visioning of the long plan that we must have as a country.
Actually, no. Again, let me say no. You don't start with a vision. You start with the needs of the people that then creates the vision that you have. What do the citizens need? If the citizens do not rhyme or chime with that vision won't go anywhere.
Exactly. You don't run a country.
It is their vision, it is what they want that person must be speaking about. That's why when the government, the president, current president, signed charters, went for town halls, in my mind, this is the sort of president that we have wanted, this one, because he was actually listening and documenting
whatever the people are saying.
Yes, that was the point. Now, where we are is where that got lost, because we knew this was what has happened. Then suddenly there was something else happening, and there was a divide. And saying, hold it. There was that other plan, which we agreed with. This one is your plan. We are not part of it.
He's running this country like a company, a limited company. You see, my brother.
We cannot run a country like a company.
That is
not even feasible.
And that is what is happening here in Kenya. It's not happening. Because as City is saying, you're supposed to run a country according to the needs of the people. What the people want, what the people are for, what is really disturbing the people and the society, but not what you're thinking. What is your vision? They need roads.
Do Kenya need water?
They need water.
They need cover, health cover.
They need, but is it really what is being implemented?
Yes.
Is it what is really, and in what manner is it being implemented? That is what City is asking.
Actually, I like your interpretation. It is good that I'm here so you can quote me as you see fit, even misquote me if you wish. But this is, what you're saying is not what I was saying. I am actually raising a question, and since we want to have an honest conversation,
Yes.
let me make a statement. My friend, the things you want to do as a political leader and the things you can do are not the same. The things you can actually do. So when you politic and promise, you must understand there's a time you must now learn to talk reality, because talking politics is where the lofty promises come in. And it must be understood these are political promises that are being made. The actual things you are able to do must have timelines, they must have a budget, and they must be realistic. Now that has to be communicated as well. If there is a gulf, if there is a divide, there'll be a problem, because that is when people feel they're being lied to. Because they're saying, wait a moment, this thing that we're now doing, at what point did we discuss this thing? When did we agree that we're going to... See, because the entire conversation that led to the leadership, it began with the citizens being consulted. So now when anything is done, why do you think, for instance, there are so many issues that the government initiates? You know why they go to court? A lack of public participation. And they are stopped because of lack of adequate public participation. Nothing more. Nobody's saying it's even bad. No! The public were not consulted adequately.
I don't know if you've ever bought your girlfriend something and then you realize she doesn't want it. You went out.
That smile tells us
he has done it.
He has done it several times. Yes.
You know, you've received this amount of money you had not expected, and then you say, let me buy my girlfriend this very nice shoe. Then you take this shoe to her, and then she receives it, lakini akozileza I wish hata ungeniuliza ningekwambia nilete handbag. I wish ungeniuliza ningekwambia I need, you know, a new brow, whatever it is. Or I wish ungeniuliza ningekwambia 2,000 nipatie nitumie madhe because hawana nini. So that is where public participation is very important.
But you've forgotten that our girlfriends love surprises.
They love surprises. They love surprises. There are things you will give her regardless of her mood, she will absolutely love them.
And do you know even those surprises, how they work? You first of all
investigate.
Before, exactly. Investigate. Unaweza taka tukwende mahali fulani. Okay. Unaeka. Tunaweza fanya hii na hii na hii. Unaeka. Then when you're ready,
you surprise her.
You surprise her to something that she likes.
Yeah.
And that is why you hear the Kenyan voter haitangu Njoroge, haitwangu Shege, anaitwa Wanjiko.
So okay, the reason I was bringing
that is what I'm saying. It is a metaphor. The Kenyan voter. That is what we are saying. The Kenyan voter. Yes, that is what I'm saying.
The reason I was bringing that up.
It's metaphoric, my brother.
Yeah, it is a metaphor. The reason I was bringing that up is, for example, we just spoke about markets, and he was telling us the way they need a market in Rironi, in his village in Rironi, right?
Yeah.
Yet yesterday we sat on this same chair. There sat two gentlemen, and one of them told us that there is a market in his village that they do not need. Hata Hawaii, yani that market is, from how he explained it, was a state of the art kind of good market where you can sell your stuff there, but that market has been empty for months since it was constructed. So you see, it was a good gift to the people of that particular village, but they didn't need it. And now they have a very expensive market that perhaps they would never use. Yet that same resource would have been taken to Rironi, and it would have really benefited the people of Rironi. So, and that is why public participation is very important, so that you can know this girlfriend of yours what she needs.
Have you people seen the Westlands market? I'm using that as an example.
Yes.
How many stories is it? Bus. You know it has many stories. That market existed when it was just on the ground. Each of those floors is occupied. Each. And there's even a feeling that they need more space. Now, that is a project that met a need. That's why it is the way it is.
Yes.
And you can see the need was there, it is occupied, it is being utilized fully. The thing about public participation and why it's in our constitution is for a very simple thing, for leaders to continuously be in touch with the people who elect them. It is absolutely important. People who are married will ask their children what they like. Because children know what they like. You may is a child, but they know what they like. They know.
Indeed.
They may even be mistaken about it, but they know. And sometimes it is important to let them have their way so that they can understand that their decision-making process can be faulty sometimes. But they won't understand it until they make it, it's implemented, and they realize, hey, about this one, it is best perhaps I listen to this fellow who's a little older and bigger. Maybe he knows a little more. When it comes to the things that we want, we are sometimes unrealistic because we demand of leaders things that we ourselves could not do, will not do, even if we're in a position to do not do in the spaces that we are in. We demand honestly, and we are the biggest liars on the planet as Kenyans. We lie through our teeth. You'd think we're being paid to lie.
But City, at some point you say that honest man will end up being single. You remember that?
I have that proverb. Okay, let me quote it for you. I said, a man who does not lie will not marry. That was a quotation. It's a proverb.
So a man must lie.
In context, which man wears his worst clothes when he's going to meet a young lady when he's young? You will even borrow clothes so that you can look good. Sinikweli?
Yeah, that's lying.
Even shoes. Me, I've borrowed shoes.
That's lying.
That's lying.
Nikaone msupa.
Yeah, but contextually, we agree. You'll even ask your friend who has smell good, ile mzuri.
Nipatie marashi.
Yes.
Marashi.
So, look, there are things that are culturally acceptable, like what I'm describing. That's not what I am saying.
Yes.
What I am saying is, when it comes to holding people to account, saying, so and so, this is wrong, or saying, I have made a mistake, I will not bribe you, please let me go to the police station. I'm going to endure some real inconvenience here, but I am not bribing. The police service individual has an option to tell you, I have forgiven you, go.
But do what is right.
They have that option. Okay?
Yeah.
I have experienced breaking the law myself. When I was a younger version of myself, I liked driving fast. And I happened to have vehicles that allowed me to do that. And I was arrested on a number of occasions. At no point did I ever say I was not overspeeding. In fact, there's an occasion when the fellow told me, according to this gadget we have, you are doing 120. I told him that is not true. I was actually doing 145 because I know the speed I was driving at. Okay? And said, that's an even bigger mistake. I said, it is not. What I've done is gone beyond the speed limit. That's all I've done. Whether I've gone by 10, 20, I've gone beyond the speed limit and I'm wrong. So the discussion was completely different. I even went to court. Okay? I even paid a fine. Okay? But these are gentlemen I later got to know, and are they my friends to date? What am I saying? I am saying you at an individual level have the capacity to relate to the law correctly. These police men and women that you see know the law better than you do. That's why they are officers of the law. They are also taught psychology so they can understand you. But they are also socialized in this country to take advantage of the power they have by virtue of their job.
And the ignorance of the citizens.
And that is what they do. And where do you think they learned it from? You think policemen learned to receive bribes because they were bribing each other? Who do you think introduced bribes to policemen? Who do you think? You think they began by demanding it? You are in the wrong and you don't want to face the consequence of the law, so you start negotiating.
They bribed to get even those positions in those.
Not all of them, but some.
No, not all of them.
That is the eventuality that we hear of, because when you come to discipline forces, it's a story we hear. When did it begin? The police don't bribe themselves. It is us who bribe them. For a bribe to work, there need to be two people, somebody who's giving the bribe and someone who's willing to accept the bribe.
But some also extort.
Oh, that's a consequence. I'm simply saying this is a monster that has grown over time. It wasn't
It has
always
become a norm.
Yes, it is not. What we're discussing now is the normalizing, and that's why I'm saying I do not, and I try not to point too many fingers at the police, men and women, because I participate in wrongdoing as well. The lights are on, but I see there are no cars, and I just drive through. I've just broken the law. But I don't think it's a big thing. The problems we have never begin big, they begin small. But then your mind accepts it as the norm. So when someone prevents you from doing that wrong, that person now becomes your enemy. Now look at how it manifests with our political leaders. When you tell a leader that they are wrong, you're an enemy. And there are people who say, kwa nini unapinga mkubwa? Say, nilikuwa simpingi. I was pointing out what he said is not true and this is wrong. In instances, that can actually bring upon us a very sudden and very brutal beating, simply because you have pointed out something that you're not supposed to point out. This is our culture. You who are young and who are the majority, you for whom the future is actually beckoning. Us, sunset is beckoning. You, future is beckoning. Now, if we continue the way we are continuing, we will have no country.
Yeah.
The Kikombe has asked a very interesting question here on YouTube. On Matters Police, can one of you guys look up the average salary of a Singaporean policeman, then compare with those back home? You will curl your tails inwards very fast. Well, I've checked, and the entry level policeman in Singapore will earn 21,000 USD monthly.
Wow.
That is roughly 200.
No. 21,000 US.
2100, sorry, 2100, not 1,000.
21,000 US dollars ni pesa mingi
Ni pesa mingi. Yeah, so 2100 USD, so that is roughly 260 plus. Give it 270,000 shillings monthly. And that is just someone like yourself who's probably just graduated from the academy, now umeingia police. And then they've said all the way to even about 6,000, depending on your rank. And of course, even where you're stationed. Because there are police who are on the road, there are police who are in the offices, there are police who are guarding different places. So it can go all the way to $6,000 monthly. And I know we have said that we cannot look at this other aspect of how the police have ended up in the situation they have without necessarily looking also at how much they are paid. Here in Kenya, how much are police paid?
27,000.
27,000.
Yes.
Tax free, with or without
That's
tax.
a
Tax free, of course it is taxed.
And then now you're taxed. So 27 Gs, tax it to God knows how much. Yeah, iko shida.
Kubwa sana.
Iko shida. But anyway,
it's not just the pay. Look up what level of education is required of you to be in those services.
Even in Singapore, they also have that issue of level of education.
And then also look at the level of education that is required for those who teach in those countries. And the qualifications you must have to teach. They take their very best.
To be
and they pay them very well. But you need to be really, really qualified. So when you have an education system that focuses on bringing in the best to teach, what do you think the output is going to be?
That was going to be the best.
Yes,
actually.
exactly. This is a meritocracy. From the time that is a child, they are being brought up by people, and you know what? Teachers are looked up to. When the cadre of an African who earned good money in this country was a teacher, because they were the most educated Africans, and because that is the reason you find most early politicians were teachers, it's because they were the most educated. They were the people who earned salaries, they were respected. The change came about when we started worshipping money, and money became central to everything. And we decided that those who would be teachers are those who couldn't get the courses they had applied for. So you then had a whole cadre, and it has continued, of individuals who are teaching, but they really do not want to teach. Now I'm speaking as a teacher. I wanted to teach. It makes a very big difference if you want to teach. You are committed. You didn't want to teach. You will teach looking at your clock, and when it gets to whatever hour you want to go. And anybody who wants your attention for what they need, anakusumbua. Somebody who actually wants to teach takes the time to ensure that student understands what they're supposed to understand.
The concept.
When you have a meritocracy where you favor teachers and you have the best of your citizenry teaching, you produce very serious quality citizens. You do. Why do you think the proliferation of private schools in this country is so high? Because at some point it was felt the public schools, because of just the numbers of students in every class, might not offer the quality of attention, because the student requires attention to be able to learn. Private schools proliferate, and not all of them are as good as required. Every problem you'll think of that we have seen, at the heart of it, there was a very serious shift in the value systems that we have, and somehow money got to be at the forefront of everything that we did and thought. And you were not valued for what you are quantified. How much do you earn? The respect had to do with how much you earn. Our members of parliament have gone to make this a reality by ensuring that they're some of the most best paid people in the country. So the salary now is a bigger issue than the representation that they are supposed to give. And when they ask, people always ask for money. That story is so tiresome and so exhausting. There are individuals who are elected who people know never give anybody money. They are elected. Some are even elected again. It is known. What happens? There are people who are elected to the point where they even become governors. Why? But they are known. They never give money. What do? They never give. They do what they're supposed to do. The lazy approach to finding excuses for not doing your job is that, we need more money because people are always asking for money. The people are asking for money because you who has the duty to ensure that there are processes and projects within the sphere that you work in that can help them generate an income that can meet their needs, you never focus on those things. That's why they keep begging, because they don't have the money, and yet they could. A generation before that of my parents, and my parents were people who were subsistent farmers, literally. We all came from Oshago at some point.
Farming.
They were and they were able to feed themselves and take their children to school with that subsistence farming. How are they able to do it? They could feed the family. They could take people to school. They were not working. They didn't have a job in town. That's what they were doing. Even now, you'll find such people, but they're fewer and fewer and fewer. And yet, because we are more, and more people need to eat, you would assume that anybody who does farming should be doing quite well. Do young people even think of farming as a career?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them actually they are way better. And now the problem with our system is, like you said, the value addition of or the value chain of farming in this country and agriculture has been so much decentralized to some extent, that some people there are only some people who are doing some specific things. That is why, and then the rate of production compared to the return is way off. That is why some of these people who are doing agriculture, economics in campus, they are studying it. We don't have, but we have a smaller percentage, and it is quite sad.
Let me say something.
But I think from people from your place are quite good with that.
I'm a farmer myself.
What are you farming?
I rear sheep. I do cow keeping, specifically for dairy farming. I do French beans farming. And I can tell you, for a young person to have that kind of an attitude for farming is not easy. And sometimes you get disappointed. And again, the profit, the margins between the input versus the output is not the same. And but for me, I will always encourage the young people to do farming. And I believe farming is the way, and it's the future, actually. Because I can tell you, some of the money even we get extra nowadays, we just put in farming. Because farming is very productive. At the same time, the returns also, in case if you do in large scale farming, the return will be very good in Rift Valley. And again, I see now we have the shift of the coffee farming. Remember, Africa only itself, for the $450 billion coffee farming industry in the world, Africa is just contributing 2.5 billion. So it means the market is still large. So I'm also encouraging the young people to invest in coffee farming because the market is there wide, and also for avocado farming because China really have an open market for that. And I know brokers at the middlemen are the one making things difficult for the young people. But again,
where do they come from, these middlemen?
We usually encourage young people to go direct to their respective offices that handle this issue of the export of the products.
You know, there are some legit brokers, even licensed, who will help you connect with markets that you wouldn't necessarily know from an individual perspective. Then now we have cartels who decide
whether it goes or no.
Yes.
Who calls the shots?
Yes, they decide. Wewe hiyo shamba yako by the other tunaweza ichoma.
Yako product iko chini. Is not
si hata iko chini. They are just like who nana amekuja ameingia kwa hii industry. Just like even in the matatu industry we have cartels, you know. There are cartels more or less in every industry. Hata ya sukari kuna cartels because you tell me,
you speak about it as though this is something that should be expected and it is normal.
But unfortunately it is there. I wanted to ask, in terms of even sugar, for example, why is it that we keep on hearing of sugar importation in this country, yet we have all this, we have the sugar belt, literally, and it is called a sugar belt for a reason, but we're importing sugar.
Because what we manage with all the sugar factories we have is to meet 60% of what we need. We have to import 40%. We have not reached the point where we produce the sugar that we need. We do not.
Yet we hear of factories that sijui zimeanguka, ama sijui zimelala, ama sijui zimefanya nini.
The factories that you speak of are government run. They are parastatals. And the nature of parastatals in this country and the thinking behind those behind them is that they are institutions that are set up to be plundered. So people simply go there and rob the living daylights out of it.
We have the issue of
That's
rice.
why our president is so keen on matters of privatization because he understood when you privatize some of the parastatals, it will be run good and it will be very effective because it's a making profit company and it have the shares for the shareholders.
Why can't the government still run them but profitably?
Actually, the government has
in
run
a manner
them
that is private.
They have
privatized.
run them profitably. Yes. I live in the sugar belt. That is where I grew up. And the constituency I come from has the most number of sugar factories in this country. It's called Muhoroni constituency. Yes, we have very many sugar factories. Let me count them for you, for those who don't know. There's Muhoroni, there's Chemelil, there's Miwani, there's Kibos. Those are 4. And then we have agrochemical, which now uses the byproducts of the sugar. Now, the reason why you will find there's always a problem, when this whole settlement scheme, the sugar plantation began, farmers who owned the ratoon, you had 2.5 acres, 2.5 acres, 2.5 acres for planting. That is the basic farm for sugarcane. Some owned bigger, some owned very much bigger, some owned extremely bigger. You could, depending on what you could pay as a deposit at that point in time. People who had this 2.5 acres, 7.5 acres for sugarcane educated their children. Some took their children abroad. I know because I saw it. That farm, it was government run. It was profit making. Okay? All those factories. There is a gentleman, I think his name is Tui Kong, if I'm not wrong. He was the CEO of a factory called Chemelil. That gentleman went even further. His CSR, beyond building houses for the employees, he built a school called Chemelil Academy. It is one of the best performing schools in that region. If you go to the Eldoret region, he built it. CSR. So that's a man who understood what to do with the profits of the company. He built, there was a factory club for the members which had a swimming pool. In fact, it was the only swimming pool, I think, in that entire region of Muhoroni. The point I'm trying to say is this, maybe others have built. That government runs things successfully is a fact that has been in existence. That's why I said we are a country that seems to move back. Okay?
We are retrogressing.
Yes, we are. We have seen people run government institutions and run them profitably. We have seen. Okay? So it's not that it can't be done. But when there's a culture that enables theft and it glorifies theft. Now we join in that choir and we sing with it. Then the very things that are supposed to be our heritage, because anything that is owned by the government is actually yours. It's not anybody else's.
That is true.
So essentially, we allow these fellows whom we elect to rob us. So when we complain, who are we complaining to? When we're the ones who allow it. That's why holding people to account becomes important.
I think, and from what I have heard, you're telling me that there was a time in your time in Kenya that in this Kenya that there were no bribes at all.
My friend, you would get arrested and you could get jailed.
In your time, that you're telling me that a sugar company was very, very much profitable.
It was.
And it was being run by the government.
It was.
So I think we need to reincarnate the moral values of your time to our time. And that is what the young people are. We are advocating good morals, good standards of governance, good, we just asking for transparency, accountability, eligibility, everything. We need everything to flow.
Everybility.
Everything that everybility. Let me finish. We need everything to flow as it should be. And I think if in your time you had so many challenges, no phone calls, no social media, no internet.
Actually, there were no challenges because they didn't exist. They didn't even.
But I think now, then
they used to hunt.
But then, and compared to now, I think this country should be.
You think I was born in the Stone Age?
Gathering.
I think then compared to now, then this country should be actually very far. At some point, we stopped and then things changed. And then I think now, instead of now going forward, as my brother here is saying, we are retrogressing back.
You know, if the pausing you speak of is pausing to understand what we've lost in all these years with the ethos that we have embraced and the lives we have chosen to live and the politics we've chosen to embrace. Because this country generates more money than it has ever done in its history.
That is true.
This country has more people educated than it has ever done in its history. This country exports labor and earns from it. This country has been able to weather many storms. Some of it has nothing to do with us. Then I think it was a divine intervention by God, if you ask me. But we are an extremely unique country and extremely blessed. But we do not like doing the right things. Now that is the bane of our existence.
Moral standards.
And that cancer of not wanting to do the right thing, I think also is going down to the generation of these young people. Because recently I was in a space. The space name was Young Youth Aspirants. They didn't specify whether they want people in opposition in that space or the people of the government. So I joined and I requested for a mic. It was online with the bigger names in the X-Space in Kenya. The moment I got that mic and I said, let me submit my side. And then an issue of interruption happened. My mic dropped. Do you know the guy recitated back and said, this is Brian Kipkorir from the UDA party. Why are we giving this guy space? We didn't invite him.
So the problem is your party, not Brian Kipkorir.
No, the problem is the young people don't want to get the point.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that I'm in UDA party. I'm not part and parcel of this country.
Yeah, true.
If it comes to a conversation that involves the best interests of this country, we must learn to listen to each other.
I agree.
And we must not become shrewd or now we are listening to each other. We must get to know the point of concept. What am I trying to communicate? But those guys had to hit me. They even started saying, report this guy. We don't want this guy has been sent by DCI. This guy has been sent by state. And then I told them, guys, I think this space, it was not any specification. And even the all thematic concept of this space was only about the young aspirants. And I thought we're going to share the vision to talk about the bigger picture of this country, and also teach ourselves what is the best models on approaching this election without these kind of a big resources that we require.
I actually want Kamau to respond to that, because
Or he was there.
Why are you cannibalizing yourselves?
Were you there?
No, this man has actually offered himself to be elected by the people, and he has had a life-changing experience as a result of that. To him, he speaks from experience.
So I actually, if not, I may not agree on many things with Brian, but on this one I agree, because these are principles, and we as young people have to understand what spaces are we going into, and this is politics. He is entitled to his opinion
and his affiliation,
and he should not be crucified for that, because that is what he feels is good, that is what he feels is working for him, and that is what he feels according to his morals and according to his beliefs. Whichever side he is affiliated to, if it fits him and it feels good, let him be part of it. And that is the problem now with young people. We tend to crucify and they get more so emotional about it. It is not about emotions. If you are if I disagree with you and I have my facts and you have your facts, we disagree to agree, and then we are entitled to everyone is entitled to their opinion. And that is the same case that I have gone through during the last election as a young person. The same thing today, even to date, the same thing. Being criticized by the same people because of your stand. Sijui don't go this, usifuate huyu mzee lazima ni mtribal, sijui ni munini. But you are not understanding why I am doing it. Why am I there? Why am I in that space? It's because I have studied the space of that realm, and I have to do like they are doing, and I have to study the way they are doing it, why they do it, so that whichever way I take it and do my thing, I have to be in line, so that there will be no friction. Because if there is friction, you will not be on the good side. And if you will not be on the good side, you will not be there when the decisions are being made. You will not benefit your people. They have to understand in all fairness that this is leadership and this is politics and this is some space we are invading. And it's good that we are having this conversation at the end of the year and what we have gone through this year. And it is good we have this conversation now going into 2026 and 2027, because it is the political year. Because if at all we are not going to embrace each other and we disagree to agree, one, they are not going to vote. Why? They are going to vote with emotions. Because if at all you're not going to vote for me because I'm affiliated to a certain party, you're not going to see any change. And yet we see there are some people who get voted in some parties and they bring a lot of change. If you're not going to vote, or you're not going to affiliate yourself with a certain person just because they have they disagree with you, or they have a different model of doing things, and you yourself you don't want to take part of it, let us stop this criticism of umelipwa, wewe ni wa wapi. Everyone
you belong to a certain party.
You belong to a certain party. Let
us
embrace change as young people. Let us be united as a young patriotic front.
I want us to take another break. Niwaongeze chai ama mtaka maziwa this time around na biskuti Then when we return, I want us to talk about this issue of parties.
Good.
Because if we're going into 2026 hating people because they belong to a certain party, or loving others because they belong to another party, what does that tell us about
we
our
will
own...
be back in the same spaces in 2027, retrogressive. We will not progress at all.
Here's the news. Winnie Maganga, take it away.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Coast Regional Police Commander Nuno Dabat has warned politicians accused of fueling inter-clan tensions in Tana River County on Monday. He said the government will act decisively to end violence and illegal gun ownership. Speaking to the press after a high-level security meeting in Bengal, Nuno said inflammatory politics were at the center of recent clashes that left several people injured and forced families to flee their homes. Family, friends and colleagues of veteran broadcaster and former State House Master of Ceremonies Sammy Lui gathered for a memorial service on Monday to celebrate his life. The memorial came 2 months after his death. Lui, who voiced defined national events and official state functions during the Kibaki era and beyond, passed away on October 23rd at his home in Subukia, Nakuru County.
He was always supportive of each and every single one of us as his children, and never judgmental with regard to the choices that we made or paths we chose to travel along life's somewhat tumultuous and winding journey.
Babangu kipenzi, nitakuenzi kwenye kazi yangu ya utangazaji na ya kusherehesha, yani MC, maana sijakutana na anayekuzidi kwenye kipaza sauti. Ili dude hapa Mike.
Molo Member of Parliament Kuria Kimani has urged President William Ruto to ignore divisive voices opposing the Rironi Mao Summit Road project. Speaking during a sports tournament in Marishoni, Molo Sub-County, Kimani said the road is a critical infrastructure project that supports economic activity and regional connectivity. He noted that the highway serves a large population along the corridor, including neighboring counties and cross-border communities.
Wengine ambao wanatupigia makelele wanasema kwanza hii barabara ya kutoka Rironi kuja Mau Summit isijengwe, washindwe. Wao saizi asubuhi kutoka Nairobi, wale watu walitoka juzi ndio wanafika saa hii Nakuru kwa sababu ya vile kuna jam kutoka kwa hiyo highway. Tunaambia rais wetu, wacha kusikiza kelele ya hawa watu. Wewe jenga barabara. Wewe jenga barabara hii ya Rironi. Wewe jenga hizo dam. Tuletee stima. Wakenya hawa ni wajanja sana. Wakati wa kupiga kura watajiamulia kwa maendeleo.
2 suspects in a deadly mass shooting at Australia's Bondi Beach carried out tactical training in the countryside, police have said. This as Prime Minister Anthony Albanese apologizes to the country's Jewish community and vowed tougher laws against extremism. Father and son Sajid Akram and Navid are accused of targeting Hanukkah event on Bondi Beach, killing 15 people in the nation's deadliest mass shooting in almost 3 decades. Police documents released Monday said the two had carried out firearms training. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Welcome back. It is now 5 minutes past 9 o'clock. The station is Radio Generation. The People's Breakfast is where we are at. Thank you so much to all of you who tuned in. Eriko War, Nakuona, My Tech Nakuona. We have the Kikombe, of course, Ndunye, Festi Royals, Wanjala, Peter, Chemursoi, Sungura, Marit, Sam 58 59 8. Is that your telephone number? Dynamo, of course, Don Sabwa, John Mutua. Karibuni tena sana. If you've just joined us, welcome. Now, in studio, we do have two gentlemen. Kipkorir Brian, National Youth Affairs at UDA, and Kamau Mbiu, Chair, National Youth Caucus. Gentlemen, once again, welcome to the last hour of the People's Breakfast.
Thank you. Thank you.
We were talking about parties and you have defended your brother here ukisema hii maneno ya kuchukia mtu kwa sababu ni wa chama fulani, tafadhali tuache. Lakini sasa kama wanachukia chama kabisa wafanya nini? If they really feel that his association, they might like Kipkorir Brian. Amazing gentleman. Lakini sasa ile kampeni na keep bana, hiyo ndio shida.
Hiyo ni ukweli.
Yeah.
But and also now that is where I tend to tell my young brother here to know what he is joking with. Now, sometimes politics have gone down to invoke emotions to the levels that we have been involved in violence. And if you're not careful how you're speaking, how you're engaging people
Yes.
with your side. If you engage people with facts and calmness, without pride na kiburi mingi, there you might win. Because I might listen,
Yes.
not like another gentleman alikuwa anaambia watu, and a young person who is affiliated to the ruling party, mupende musipende indo government hiko, na mupende musipende hiyo ndo itatuongoza na hiyo ndo iko. Well, at some fact, tupende tusipende, that is okay. But you don't need to tell us, and you don't need to tell 1,000 people at indo government. Actually, he used an example of kukona ngombe mbili, pa kuna ngombe moja enye imezaliwa juzi, haijakaa sana, haijaanza kukamuliwa, na kuna ngombe ingine hapa ambayo imekaa inakamuliwa, inatoa maziwa, inatoa kitu. Wewe ukiwa mnunuaji wa ngombe, utachukua gani? Then people were like, tutachukua hii ngombe yenye iko na maziwa na inatoa maziwa, or at least iko na kitu. Now he told him, ngombe iko na maziwa, hiyo ndo William Ruto, na mupende musipende, hiyo ndo ngombe tuko nayo na well, to some point whatever he is saying, it is okay, but as young people,
what about it is okay? Because at some point is okay. What is okay about that statement?
Whatever he is saying, the statement he is saying is, we have a president and that is the president, and he is the one in power. That is true. He is the one in power. But now you don't have to tell the people and tell them mpende msipende. How we engage our people, now that is where we come in wrong. Just because we have the excitement of this, you're excited, uko in a political space that is yielding on your end, that is making sense on your end. Now, because you think someone else is of the contrary opinion, does not make sense. Now, the young leaders and the young politicians in this political space, they should know how to engage people.
Okay.
Don't be like there's a certain MCA here in Kileleshwa who just thinks that everything he says, that is his opinion, is the one that counts, and he speaks lowly of everyone else. And that his opinion, he goes forward to say that
Is he a tall MCA?
I think he's a tall.
Is he bald head?
I don't know because I don't go too much with, but he has some funny face looking.
Okay. No, let's just continue with the other.
I think
Endelea tu nilo ulikuwa unasema.
So don't try and usifanye chenye anasema, don't disregard it, and then chenye mwananchi anasema usimfanye mjinga. Atumwambia sasa ati juu hauna kura, hata kama ana kura na anakuambia finance bill haifanye, uanze kumwambia wewe kwanza uko na kura. No. Let us know the way of how we are going to handle our people.
Okay.
As young leaders.
When you hear such things, that person is demonstrating to you their version of politics and how they practice it, and you should take note. And you should also ask the question, why does this person feel they can talk to us the way he's talking to us? Because there's always a reason behind it. And or why does he think he can get away with it? The answer lies in a principle that we rarely speak of. We speak of the consequences as being the one thing that damns this country. Is called corruption. Corruption in and of itself is not a problem. It is a manifestation of the impunity that we embrace. When someone knows he's going to get away with theft, he'll steal.
Indeed.
You think someone steals so that they can be caught and arrested and taken to jail? No, they do not. They steal so that they can get away with it. Now, when you find that theft abounds, it means people have stolen, they have seen the consequences aren't there, so others are encouraged to do the same. And that is why there are people who choose jobs within the government, because that is where they feel they can steal the most. And it is considered a career move. When you talk among your peers, the two of you, there are discussions that you normally have about the sort of vehicles you'd like to drive. You don't need to tell me, it is true, I know you do.
That is
And
true.
you people choose some of the most expensive vehicles, and those are the ones you want to drive. And we know full well that your salaries cannot buy 2 tires from those vehicles, whatever it is you earn. So how are you going to buy those vehicles? You'll find some means of buying it, and you look for people who are around your age who seem to have managed it. And you'll ask, how? Kunaendaje? You'll say, hiyo sio shida. What you do is you move this here, and you move it here, and you move it here, then you bring this here. Really? Yeah, that's it. Then we'll take it to so-and-so's yard. Then you put this deposit, and the moment that becomes a priority, the next thought will be, I need to be elected as a leader. Haki, you are going to make an absolutely useless leader, because much as you thought at some point that you had the interest of the people at heart, your attention and focus will have changed.
That is true.
You'll be thinking of, this car was good when I bought it, but there is another version of another one, which that one, it
might be the one.
That one. That's the focus. The focus on how do I now move into the circles where this can be done. And then it's not just a watch. No. You need to wear a watch. When you sit down, you always do this so that yes.
I'm on a funny hivi.
Yes. And you're always looking at the time, and yet you know the time.
Or before you look at it, you shake your hand a bit and then.
Yes. Or when people are talking about something, you say, I don't know why some people don't really know how to do pedicure properly, because they charge 15,000, but I'm not seeing.
Trying to be modest about the situation.
Once you get into that conversation, whatever it is you thought you're going to do for the people, you will never do, because they are not your priority anymore.
That is true.
And that is a discussion among many people who we consider youthful.
Yeah, Mbuvi, you
Yes.
talk about political parties.
Yes.
Remember, these are institutions and the vehicles that we use to capture power in this country.
Right.
And what is the essence of a political party? Remember, political parties are built on ideologies. And for Kenya, we are center-right political parties, majority of them, in terms of transformation, social justice, economic empowerment, and again, holding it to the African values. And that's something that we must always understand, because when you see a young person in a political party, that's number one, is a credit, because they have a roadmap of the way the leadership of this country is supposed to be. And I'm encouraging young people to join political parties.
Yes.
And to join and make effort to be on tables of these political parties. I'm a youth officer at the UDA, and I can tell you, I have weekly I have engagement with the young people basis, and we talk about this vision that we have. But again, what counts at the end of the day is how we're going to package in a model that is going to be implementable and have this program with them. So sometimes the young people have to understand. Again, as a UDA party, we have Leadership Academy. Why did we choose that path? Because we really understood we have a problem as a country. The type of leaders that come on place. People who come and boast, speak proud of themselves, and even use their public offices in a way they're not supposed. But in these political party academies that we have, we are building the cadres of leaders who understand their ideologies, who want to transform this country, who hold on the principality of the constitution, but at the same time, in the African values that we must have. The spirit that we have since the Mzee Jomo Kenyatta had, the Harambee, the African socialism, and even going back to our roots. So this political leadership academy, and sometimes we do program exchange with the National Resistance Movement of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in Uganda and the CPC party.
Wait, you do what again?
Program exchange.
Okay.
Yes. I remember...
it's called benchmarking.
Yes. But ours, we go there 2 months.
You've been to Uganda yourself for this
Yes,
particular
2
exchange
months
program?
for training, actually. Not just training for just class.
Okay.
For class, paramilitary training,
Okay.
handling of the arm gears, again understanding the African philosophy,
Right.
and again understanding the science of
You said
organizing
paramilitary training.
Yes.
Why do you need paramilitary in a party?
No, is not. That's not the ideology. But remember, in Uganda,
Yes.
what is the ideology? Get the point. We are doing program exchange.
May I
Chime in here, please. I'm trying to understand.
The government that we currently have was not elected when they first got into power. They deposed whoever had been there.
We're talking about Uganda here now.
It is Uganda I'm referring to. Us, our leaders are elected. You may not disagree with the election process, but they are elected.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that a country or those in power understand is how to inculcate discipline in young people. Discipline comes through not military necessarily, but paramilitary training.
Okay.
We had that training in this country, and we call it the youth training. People, before they join university, would go for some 8 months for some training.
National Youth Service.
Yes, National Youth Service in Gilgil,
Okay.
that region of Gilgil. There are countries that have a mandatory training of young people, like say Israel, where literally everybody in that country has gone for that paramilitary training. And theirs is not at a month. No. Theirs is 3 years. By the time
South
you
Korea.
are, sorry?
South Korea, I think.
Yes, they do. So by the time you are actually going to university, you're around 24 years old. There are some youthful ideas which are of very little consequences, which have been kicked out of your system completely. You think very differently. You will be working as a civilian, but you have been trained.
Okay. So it's basically you're trained in discipline, alertness, and other skills.
An African idea.
All right.
So it's very important. And why am I saying this? We need also to think the party leaders in this country. I like the way our president is doing, and our super SG, Hassan Omar, is somebody that is a steer this party to ensure that the young people.
It's a product of Wiper, by the way.
I know he was in Wiper before he moved over.
He was a product of ODM.
He was actually he was a sec-gen of Wiper for a while.
Yeah.
So Hassan Omar has ensured that the young people are brought on table by this kind of way, because by ensuring that is building the thinkers, the smart young leaders who can think for this country. It's very bad if the young people don't think. The people who just nod yes in everything. That is very dangerous for this country. We need the young people who question everything. We need the young people.
Nodding yes to your party leader.
No. Get the
And
point.
doing everything your party leader is saying.
You're not getting the point.
But
getting the point is very important.
Kamau,
Getting the point is so important.
You know, you're speaking on his behalf and he's here. He can tell us. We'll give you time to tell us how you nod for your political leader.
Exactly.
So, bro.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, please continue, Brian.
So, Hassan Omar is doing this because he understood one assignment. He's one of those leaders that he has grown from being a student leader to where he is at the moment. And one of the things that he always inspires about is, as a young person, always read, do research, understand your country. At one point he told us, sometimes you see an attaché from Britain, Netherlands, Norway, with their organization here in Kenya. An attaché, a 21 years old girl, telling us about how to rule ourselves, how to respect our democracies. An attaché. And then you're there, at 24 years like me, I'm clapping, thinking that is nice. No, we are so barely below the minimum. So sometimes we must rise beyond the obvious.
Yeah.
We must ask ourselves, this is Africa, and Africa is our business.
By the way, he's one of the very few people who have transitioned from being in the civil society to now hardcore politics. He's one of the very, very few. Very many people who are in that particular space rarely
don't survive.
They don't survive. They rarely transition well.
There's something we need to address here. Two individuals, Victor Lasesuyan and Frederick, asking the same question I had asked earlier, but you explained it very well. They're asking about the paramilitary training. For example, Victor is asking, are we at war? Frederick is asking, all leaders can... Oh no, that's a different one. My prince, yes, is one who's asking about the paramilitary training. Why should UDA take their people for paramilitary training? Are you planning chaos? Frederick anasema all leaders cannot fit in one table since those on the table never came by mistake. They ought to do the necessary. So on the paramilitary training, you explained it very well by the Nikaelewa. It's all about discipline, fitness, and of course skills. Yes. Right? It has got nothing to do with holding guns or wielding pangas.
You actually are taught how to use weapons. Let me expound on it. When we had what you call the provincial administration, we still have the provincial administration, just called something else. We have training institutions where all these people, including chiefs, go for training. It is the same sort of training they go for. Just so that you understand. Civil servants who were in the provincial administration had to have a certain understanding of things. When you're in administration, there are things you have to be taught. How do you become an administrator in the future? When nobody has taught you how to bear arms or the responsibility that comes with it, has taught you the discipline that is required in the disciplined forces, you are being given a rounding off so that you actually have knowledge, not theoretical knowledge of how some of these things work. You're already in the civilian world. You're removed out of the civilian world, taken into a different world so that you understand it. Now when you come back and people are speaking about that world that deals with security, your understanding of it is a lot more intimate than the theory that you may have read somewhere. Why? Because you've been taken through certain motions that enable you to understand it.
So Kip, were you taught how to handle a firearm?
Yes.
Okay, so you
Not
know
even
how...
firearm. Also practicing martial arts.
Okay, so you know karate?
Yes.
Judo?
Taekwondo. Yeah, the only thing that I wasn't given is a belt.
Hapana, Kamau.
We must look in a positive aspect.
Kamau.
We're not planning any of that.
By the way, if that is what he was planning, would he talk about it in the open?
Well, no.
It's a simple enough question. Yeah. If that is what you're planning, then it will be secretive.
Maybe he doesn't know because he's following.
He's actually here. So he's here.
Or like a spy, he will be activated at the right time.
Yes. Maybe
we mean good for the country.
But I don't. Anyway.
And one of the reasons why we do a lot of exchange program with these political parties that are having longevity in their ruling. For instance, the CPC, one of the biggest.
Could you kindly just come close to the mic, please?
One of the biggest party in the world, actually, with over 100
million.
Who
on earth is CPC?
No?
CPC or CCP?
Oh, Communist Party of China.
Okay.
Yes.
CCP.
Yes.
Okay.
But we refer it that way most of the time. So that party actually, one of the things that we learn from them is they hold into the ideology of transformation. Remember, China uplifted 800 million people, poverty alleviation, within 46 years actually, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
And that is something that we learn from them every day. How is that possible? And whatever that we are learning from them from the exchange program is how can we build the party that all on the ideology of transformation.
Wait, have you done an exchange with CCP?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went.
Or you also went to China?
For me, I didn't.
Okay.
But once
some of your colleagues.
Yes.
Okay. And then when they came back, also we do that, also one-on-one.
So we have some Chinese members of the CCP party, young people, who also came to Kenya in that exchange.
Yes. And also, actually, most of them are based in China Embassy here. And for most of the time, we invite ourselves to Liruku in this. Even the last time we had the Kenya-China Readers Forum in Westlands. And it was talking about the governance of Xi Jinping and how he has transformed that country and some of the aspects that are very important to ensure that the country transforms.
Kamau wants to ask something.
No, I am not asking.
Yes.
I am just thinking. And this is my opinion and thinking out loud.
Right.
If you go somewhere to benchmark,
yes,
that is you love that place and you're being mentored by that place or by that person or by that office and therefore you want to be like that person when you develop. So I'm looking into the UDA's mentees, Uganda, China and other governments they have gone and they're making good relationships with and now I'm wondering where our democracy will be at some point, because the democracy in those nations is questionable. But yeah, I'm just thinking. Yeah,
Or you were thinking out loud.
Yeah, I'm
no,
thinking
I
out
thought you had
loud.
raised up your hand because you wanted to.
No,
want
see
to
me
know
doing like this. I am just talking to myself now. Where is this UDA government trying to take
Let me
us
talk
as
Alright.
a country?
about our party, yeah? And I want to be specifically
Yeah.
in Kenya context.
Yes.
Remember, we are in Kenya and we have our constitution, one of the progressive document, and we respect it at the core. And remember, whatever that is in that document is really that holds this country together. And that is where now even our leaders cannot do excess with what they have. So in China, that's not the case. They have different constitution. In Uganda, they have different constitution.
Question now,
Yes.
before you progress on that. And now this is for you as Brian. If UDA, as you are member of the party and the top of the officers there, if at some point you feel that we want our constitution to be like that of Uganda or that of China, would you as Brian be part of changing the Kenyan constitution?
Let me
It's a
tell,
yes or no
let me tell you
question.
something.
No, it's a yes or
A
no
process
question.
of referendum is a collective process, and we all understand that. And at any point, my views will always be taken in public participation.
But I think what he's asking is, would you support a process that will take us to that point whereby Kenyans have to vote and have a constitution similar to that one of China,
and Uganda.
or Uganda?
Yes.
That is not me to answer.
No,
It's for
it is
Kenyans
your
to
opinion.
answer.
I'm asking for your
Would you
opinion.
part of the process?
You
that would-
as
You see,
Brian.
Kenya by nature, we have been very progressive.
Yes.
And there's no way we are going back. So why are you asking me the constitution of Uganda?
Actually,
when China's is
it is an
progressive.
appropriate question because our understanding of communism has been from the Western perspective, more so the American perspective, who always saw communism as an anathema to their capitalistic ways.
Indeed.
If you look at what the Chinese Communist Party has done for its citizens, the Americans have not been able to do for their citizens.
Indeed.
They haven't. And they won't be. And the reason is because rentier capitalism is a capitalism that is one of the most extractive forms of doing business in the world. And they are the champions of it. The Scandinavian countries who have a socialistic leaning, where the people are put first, you will see how it is they manage the affairs of the citizenry. You're looking at the education, you're looking at the sovereign wealth fund, you're looking at
Innovations.
security, you're looking at the way they go about things. Free education from the time you are born until the day you give up your life. All those things are socialist views. The Americans were always opposed to it. Okay? Britain, not so. The Labour Party are more socialistic leaning. That narrative that is anti-communism has been with us for the longest time. How can you tell me that this is a negative system when that very same country, America, that has been anti the Chinese for the longest time, are the ones who've made China one of the most prosperous countries in the world by building it to be the factory of the world? Why? They do business with China and then they're telling you don't do business. But they do business with China. In fact, their biggest trading partner is probably China. And yet their narrative is that you, as the country that you are, you should look at them with suspicion. There's a lot we can learn from governments like that of Uganda. Most of the things we should not do. Okay? We have had from 1992 a situation where we know a president has a tenure of likely 2 years and you leave. And we've had it without a break until now. Uganda in that same period and even if longer have not. They've had one president. If they have problems, their problems will be very different from ours.
Indeed.
The idea of bringing a new president, the idea of a new president is not strange to us. We have now normalized it. But doesn't mean we can't learn from them. There's a certain element of discipline that is absolutely necessary. We lack it.
I'm going to echo the question that Kamau has asked here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it through David Mwangi. David Mwangi is asking, are we moving away from democratic constitutionalism? This is what I read by these benchmarkings. So he's more or less asking the same question Kamau has asked, yeah? In a different version.
You know, you belong to UDA. And if you answer, it will be UDA answering, and you should. A political party has the leeway to conduct its business as it sees fit. If a political party in Kenya wants to have socialistic leanings, they are free to do so. If they are thinking of adopting communistic tendencies, they are free to do so.
I'm just asking.
No, as I said, he will answer.
Yeah.
I am giving my view because I understand this thinking for the simple reason that we have been immersed into this American, not even just Western, American way of looking at communism and socialism, so that we think of it as something that is wrong. And I'm saying it is not.
So, again.
Remember, UDA party is the ruling party. Is the party that made the government. The president is our party leader. The deputy president is our deputy party leader. Remember that. And for the longest time, we have understood that for the country to be transformed, the party, which is the only vehicle that goes back to the people and seek their views, to build manifesto, to build plan.
Right.
Yes? You know, we use the word transformative, but instead actually it should be revolution. But because of the progress that we have made, I think the word transformative is so appealing to everyone.
Yes.
And that is better way. So the party is the custodian of the plan. And if the party don't actually resembles the people's view,
okay,
if not the party is holding the values that is going to make this country progressive, then again, we are drawing back. So we understood the party is a very instrumental organization when it comes to the policy making, because at the end of the day, when the government wants to implement anything, the party members, which are the elected officers, the parliamentarians, the governors, the senators and women rep, that the one being called to the PG and be told, or the governor caucus, and told this, today, this is how we're going to implement our issues when it comes to the SHA across all the counties of Kenya. So the party is very instrumental, and that's why we are building the parties with ideologies of transformation.
Okay.
And that's why our Secretary General, Hassan Omar, is the priest holding accountable. Or because he's the priest of the party. Why? Because he's the one making sure that whatever that is being implemented is followed still in terms of the plan. And that's what they're trying to do. Because if we build these parties, the parties that resemble our values, the parties that are not the having tribal mechanization that we have been used to, the parties that resembles national values, then it means as a country we are moving forward. And if you want to see the history of Kenya, the parties have been the problem. Making party from the certain regions, making parties because the party leader are holding biggest number of the shares calling, holding parties based on the tribe that they are coming from. And this is something that we must resist in all possible manners.
And I agree with you, Brian.
Yes.
And I like what you've just explained, and it sounds beautiful coming from your mind.
However,
yes, I'm just asking a simple question that has been asked. It's the conversation started with Kamau, but clearly a couple of other people were thinking of the same thing.
Yes.
And just to make it easier for you, let me ask that question again and then answer it from my perspective. Are you trying to convert this country into a communist state? And if so, would you be part of that plan? If it were me, I am saying no. Period. So, as Brian, is it yes or no?
We have been a trial of capitalism for the past 62 years.
I think we'll
yes or no?
and move.
I think we have our answer, Brian.
No. Let me have this share now.
We have been in
Because
trial.
we've been going
Yes,
round
Kamau.
and
Yes,
round
Kamau.
and
No.
round.
Yes, Kamau.
Trying to
You don't want
ask
me
the
to
same
run,
thing.
but at the same time,
No.
But you're not answering.
Yeah.
It's a yes or no question.
It's okay.
It's a yes or no question. You're not answering that.
No.
So we move away from that.
we were talking about we are
and now
not
if
our
it
own
is,
views.
if,
So
if,
I
if you're
was
not
told I will
answering,
submit mine.
if you're not answering, we
Yes,
tend
yes,
now
yes.
to answer for ourselves with how you have explained. We just need, unajua mwenye macho ambiwi tazama. So we just need to take the answer for ourselves with what the UDA party is doing. Well, now I am glad that he said that a party is built on ideologies, and these ideologies are the ones that should be implemented, and the ideologies are equal to the manifesto.
Yes.
So the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza government,
Yes.
that is what is being followed right now.
Yes.
But now, The problem with the UDA party right now, because that is what is at play, and that is why it's the government today, and that is why we are keeping it on check. That is why there's an opposition to keep it in check, so that we can have a progressive state, is the lies in that document.
The manifesto now.
The manifesto, the ideologies of UDA. You go and take that document, you read it, it is very sweet.
Okay.
It is very good. I heard even the president say yesterday that page 10 of the Kenya Kwanza government, Kenya Kwanza manifesto, we had the National Infrastructure
Yes,
Fund
indeed.
there. I'm yet to look at it, but it's okay. The same manifesto have said that how they're going to have to lift up the lives of young people. The same government said that they are going to ensure that no person is going to die, with the extrajudicial killings. But the same government, the minister says, shoot to kill. The president says, shoot kwa muku. Totally different.
Okay.
Brian Finney, listen, we have had your fair share of your time. The same government, he says that we are going to build in a year 250,000 housing units. And up to now, 3 years later, down the line, they have built around 240,000 units with housing levy. A levy that was not there in the manifesto, a government that was built on lies. And let me tell you, if there is nothing as bad that is other than something that is built on lies, they didn't tell us how we are going to build these houses, how we are going to bring up these structures, where we are going to get the money. Okay. But now they are inside, they have realized, wait a minute, we were looking for this thing in a different perspective, just like you're saying, unaomba kiatu kwa beste, unaenda kumbe dem ukienda naye out anadhani jamaa kwa sawa, tutakaa poa, lakini kuingia kwa nyumba ni noma. Now that is the problem. Okay. Jamaa, he knew very well. He has been a deputy president for 10 years. He knew even the other model that was being used by the other government to start the Mukuru Kwajenga affordable housing.
He has been in several governments.
He has been in 3 governments. He's been in Moi's government, Kibaki, and now Kenyatta, and now he's the government. And so he had the idea. He knows how the government runs. He knows where the money comes from. But instead of being honest with the people, he came and played theatrics with the people. He played with the minds of the people. He became total political with numbers. And people believed in him, people loved him, and then he added on some soup there with kanisa and everything, and crying and everything. So we saw this guy is heavenly sent. But in turn, as City was saying, you have to, they bring all these theatrics, you have to study this leader. What has he done before? The Kenyan people did not study what this guy had done before. And now, being the party leader, he is the mind behind the UDA party. And he is the implementer of these ideologies. So, whatever he was doing before, it is what he will do now.
And what are these things that he did before?
Well, the ones that are on record, he took a loan with Processional Way. He forged a title for Processional Way. He took a loan with it.
I'm going to ask you if you have evidence for that. So,
yes, it is there. It is there. Even the matter was in court. And it is there. It is on public domain.
Social media.
Not social media. It is on public domain. Even he's been arraigned in court before. He's been arraigned in the International Criminal Court before. Those are other different issues. Yes, it's the same person. He's been sacked. Let me finish.
No, let him
give
continue,
you time.
please.
He's been sacked before as a Minister of Agriculture. He's been sacked as a Minister of Higher Education. He's been a Member of Parliament for 10 years for Eldoret. And what did he do then? It is there. We have had him and Kina Jirongo. What they did, Jirongo himself.
Eldoret North, right?
Not the entire Eldoret. May his soul rest in peace. But he's on record saying that this is someone who supplied YK92 with t-shirts, the same consignment 10 times. anapiga form na msewa store, one consignment inaletwa, inawekwa, inatoka, inaletwa, inatoka.
That is what Jirongo said. Did he provide evidence to whatever it is he was saying, or was he at a rally speaking the way politicians
He
speak?
was not in a rally. He was in an interview saying it. Whether he made it up or not, but he was with him. They were buddies then.
So Jirongo is telling us that he himself was involved in whatever it is that.
Yes,
William
that is
Ruto
what he was man enough to agree that he participated in some of the problems that we are experiencing today. Let me continue and say, now this UDA party and the UDA ideologies, and that is why we do not resonate with the UDA party.
We is who?
We as the opposition.
Oh,
We
you-
as
you
the
are-
Kenyan.
you are-
Myself,
As the opposition, that's
one,
good.
me as a person, I do not resonate with the UDA. Number two, we as the united opposition, where I am as a leader.
You as the group that calls itself the United
Yes.
Opposition.
And number
Yes.
three, the larger community of the Kenyan citizens who are on the streets, the majority of the young people who are on the streets, who are promised jobs, who are given free education, but all these things were not delivered. The same people, the traders whose needs are not met by the mere taxes that are imposed on these traders, on these companies. CT, it is on record.
I want you to land this, because why I'm asking you to land it is you've stated your position as a member of what you call the United Opposition, and you're entitled to that view. Land it, because there's something you're leading towards. Please land it.
Okay. Now, as a Kenyan, and as a trader, this country, I think the data was given by the National Statistics
National
Bureau of Statistics. They said that since this government took power,
Yes.
we have over 6,000 companies that have closed down and moved to other countries. Why? The environment this government has produced is not conducive for business. The taxes being imposed, and that is why you are on the streets. The privatization of governments, it should start with them. So they are preaching a lot of...
Has this government done anything that you could consider positive?
Myself?
Yes, you.
Yes.
Like?
They have tried to maintain peace. That is positive.
That's it.
Yes. But things are moving. We are peaceful.
Everything else they have bungled, and they don't seem to know what they're doing.
But if you ask me, according to me and my
It's your
opinion,
opinion I'm asking.
yes, they are true.
And
They don't have an idea of how to run the
government
country.
we've had in this country that are free of the same things that you've said of this particular
Sorry?
government. Do you know of any government that we've had that is free of the sort of accusations that you've leveled against this government? That when you look at that government, you say they'd never had any of these problems.
No. At least the other governments, they had problems, but they had a progressive way of how their things were happening.
But
This government we are having today, everything is retrogressive.
City-
And let me tell you, and that is why they are playing with people's minds. Instead of keeping quiet and talking, they are talking too much. Sasa tumetoka hustler, bottom up, sasa tuko Singapore.
Must you listen?
Lakini
Well,
City
they are
nikuulize
talking.
aje?
If you talk, I have to listen.
No, you
CT.
don't.
Niko na swali,
But
niko na
it's
swali.
good.
Yeah.
Niko na swali kwa City. City, why did you ask him to compare previous governments and the current one?
Governments are a continuum. Jomo Kenyatta inherited certain things from the colonial government.
Yes.
And he had to deal with them. There was no running away from it. He was the office holder is the one who bears the brunt. And it continues that way.
Yes.
When you talk of debts, there are debts that Jomo Kenyatta took. Some probably are still being paid now.
True story.
Okay. When you look at the development that Kenya has had over years, there are projects which are started by certain administrations and finished with the next one. Case in point, the SGR was begun in the Kibaki era, but was finished in the Uhuru era. The road networks, we never stop building roads in this country. We won't ever stop. Because roads that are built several years down the line, you'll need to rebuild them at some point. And the others which had never been built, because human habitation increases, you will have to, it's called infrastructure. It's not just roads. Roads are part of the infrastructure that you provide. Roads make it possible for the infrastructure to reach the people easier. That's why we build roads. And that's the reason why when you build the railway, there's always a road next to it. Because that road is what you need to be able to ferry things to help build that railway. It's how these things work. Now, when we are divorced from the reality of that continuum of government, we also divorce from the reality of this country, that whether it is the vice president or deputy president, the person who is the president of the country is the president. And the assumption that the president shares powers with the deputy is actually not true. And the narrative that the deputy president, no matter how loud he shouts, is as powerful as the president is also not true. Because we have a history where presidents have separated with their deputies. We have situations where presidents, when they had the power, have removed their deputies or their assistants, and life has gone on. We've even had a period in this country where we did not have a vice president, and life went on. With the new constitution, we have a presidency, but the president is still president. I've heard of this narrative of when you're deputy, you know everything that happens with the president. That is absolutely not true. There are things you will know because you're the principal assistant. But if the president so sees it fit for you to cease to be the deputy, believe me, you will cease. The power of a president in this country called Kenya must not never be underestimated, because even with the constitution that sought to dilute that power, presidents come in and they want to work as much as possible to have as much executive power as they can. So they will influence the judiciary, they will influence the parliament. We have a lame duck parliament here that has decided to sell the birthright the citizens gave them to the executive. So you have a president that runs the country more or less as he sees fit, but yet he doesn't. Why? Because things go to court, things are halted. People speak freely, the media as the fourth estate comes in. So ours is an interestingly mixed pot. But in the process, there is politics. And our politics, no matter what we say, has been very polarizing for as long as I remember. And certain positions are taken with that polarization in mind. And so when people speak, they speak supporting the side they belong to.
So he's okay in pointing out the problems
He
this
is
government
perfectly
have.
all right. The only problem is this. The group that refers to itself as the United Opposition do not tell you of any solutions. Everything they speak of has to do with the ills of the government without them providing us with an alternative to the ills they keep pointing out. But this is what I like to say. You know, I also live in this country, okay? And I also see these things.
Yeah.
So why do you keep telling me things which I can also see? Why aren't you telling me things that and I listen to, I hear and I say, aha, these opposition fellows are taking us forward. You're regurgitating and telling me things that I've lived through. I probably even know more because I've lived longer.
Can I be honest?
Be very honest, please.
Can I be very honest?
Sure.
It's the same thing the president is saying. Hawana akili, hawana agenda, mambo ni one term, sijui must go, sijui kasongo. Now, when you go to the Jews, you do like they are doing. But now this side of politics, whoever we are dealing with is a serious master. Like you're saying, he takes everything and he is not advised. He advises you to advise on how to advise him.
That is a narrative.
You get?
Is it really true?
Yes, it is. It is.
I have to ask you. How do you know that
people who have been advising him, like the former Attorney General,
JB Muturi
is on record. He was the Attorney General and he was the Minister for Public, what was it? Public Service, Public Works, PSY. He's on record saying, I tried to advise the President as the Attorney General, but he tells me on how to advise him. And the moment I am not able to advise him on how he is telling me to advise him, we have a problem. Like now, he questioned, and it is JB Muturi is on record. He was sent to Dubai to go and sign a deal for the government. And he was sent on government on business for the government,
Official duty.
Upon arrival at the airport, he was not even going to sleep. And I think he did good to say it publicly, so that even whoever is being accused may come out and say, no, this defamation. Upon reaching the airport, someone is sent with documents, and then he receives a call. Your work is just to sign. And then he's like, no, Mr. President, I cannot sign a document that I have not read. Then the president tells him, no, the document has been read. You just have to sign. And he says, yes, it has been read, but I have not read. And he says, no, I have to sit down, reflect, go through the document, consult, and then sign or not sign, and advise the way forward. And now, from there, they started having a problem. Now, that is the president we are having today. That even someone himself who he has appointed, someone who was a party leader, and they got into an agreement when they were getting into that coalition, he cannot be listened. Who are we as Kenyans? Let me finish. Now, let me answer your question. Why?
I thought you had just answered it.
No, the opposition. Now, let me answer it clearly. Why we only state the problems. The moment we start stating the solutions, the president himself now will counter our solutions. And that is what he has been doing. And the now the moment he sees that these people are so consistent on one term, because the problem is the president, and the solution is one term.
Kamau, I thank you for opening the points of view you're expressing by saying you want to be honest. And I know, and I actually know you've been honest.
So the solution is one term.
What I was referring to was not this political banter that politicians have with each other. What I was talking about is, where is the citizen who the opposition and government are supposed to represent in this conversation? Where even as you have all these things about the mistakes that have been, where in all this discussion is the mwananchi? Where is it that one hears of the things that the opposition, united opposition, wants to do so the lives of the people will be better? What is it? They are telling us that they want to highlight the things that are being done ostensibly so that we can understand that is what is limiting whatever it is we may want. Why don't they tell us how they're going to rectify this?
Exactly, City. And I will answer your question with asking you a question.
Yes.
As a father.
Yes.
You as a father.
Yes.
What is your basic responsibility to your kids?
Depends on what age they are at.
Do you need...
Fundamentally,
yes.
I'm supposed to look after them and protect them.
Exactly. That is something that does not need to be told. The core
actually, there are many people who need to be told that.
The core, and it is error. It is error when you start telling someone that they sired kids.
What is it? What is it? No. Where in your conversation is the mwananchi or the voter included? Where, at what point do you talk about him? At what point is he the center of your conversation? At what point?
At the point where we are talking about, when we say the solution is one term, we are saying the solution is one term.
That's
because, yes.
So let me say something.
Let me finish. When we say the solution is one term and the president and his government is one term, or lazima waende, is because of the mwananchi. And this is where we are coming in, my friend. The health system.
How is it because of the mwananchi? No.
I am answering your question.
You're not. You see, there's a narrative that you expressed. It's a narrative that one hears very often, especially from the group you belong to. You are going to criticize Shah. Everything the government has done, you'll criticize. And you know why it is easy to criticize what they've done? Because many of these things have problems.
True, thank you.
But they exist.
Yes.
And if you are honest, they're improving. So if there's criticism, it may even have helped. But the picture that it is absolutely nonsensical, is not working, that is not true. It is not true. Where everything that you point to, somebody stands up and says this government doesn't build roads. It is not true. Shah doesn't work at all. It is not true. It has many problems, but it works. One should point to what isn't working and where the problem is. you want to say something? You know, we're running out of time.
Yes, we have said a lot of things, and I hope I will respond one-on-one. In Kenya, you don't need to be a genius student to understand the political reality of this country. You just have to wake up in your sleep and see who is telling truth and who is lying.
That is true.
And this
Come
political
again,
banting,
you need to
you need to wake up
and see who is doing what.
You see what is happening in this country.
Who is telling the truth and who is lying, right?
It's okay.
Okay.
You've understood. So what comes in place is whatever that is happening in this country, in the opposition side and the government side. Remember, we, the people in UDA party, specifically as the ruling party, we have our own plan. And this plan didn't come there by any coincidence. City Muga talk about that. We had these county economical forums. We discussed with people. In those representation of those forums, in those town halls, we had representation from SMEs, investors, traders, farmers, professional, and even the fourth state itself. And everything was documented. It was written down. The issue-based politics, which it is very difficult for opposition to do that. The issue-based politics, where you're telling people, this is the problem. And for us to come out of this problem, this is a solution that we have on table. That is something that is very difficult for the opposition to do. And I'm telling, if you are the young person and you're in that faction of opposition, you should even interrogate yourself. Because as this country is progressing, we need the young people who can think and become of the issue-based. People who can see the problem and address the problem. And see the best way to recognize the problem. And be the best cure for that. If you can see a young person pointing out that the SHA is not working, and he himself or she has not even registered for that and even pay for that premium, then you see that is a problem already. So we must also use our words with correspondence of our deeds. Because at any situation, if I, Korea, will also point a fingers to the opposition, I'm asking myself, while I'm pointing this way, how many fingers are on my side?
Okay.
3 or 4. So what does it mean? As much as I'm criticizing opposition, I should be asking myself, we as the government, what is the better thing that we are doing?
Okay.
And then tomorrow you'll hear Duale saying, the problem to do with the people of cancer not being covered, we are resolving it. Why the opposition not saying, okay, they did this? But
That's not their job. That's not their job.
That's not their job.
No, it is not. But if they were honest, they would say this is true. However, remember, the opposition also don't pick the criticism from thin air.
yes.
There are things they see, they live here. There are things they experience, and some of the things they say are as a result of the experience they've had, they have seen.
Yes.
You see? Now, if this helps the government to make the changes that are necessary, then one would say progress is being made. There's a problem here. There are too many narratives from the government side and from the opposition, and the Mwananchi is lost in this conversation. The Mwananchi is completely lost in this conversation. What the Mwananchi needs, the plans to help the Mwananchi move out of poverty, all these things. When the president talks about the Singaporean story, that's an amorphous, huge statement that's supposed to take us into the future. It is good as far as visions go.
What about now?
But there are people who don't even know what they're going to eat today, not tomorrow. What are the plans that we have for these people? There are people who've lost jobs, the industries that have shut down. What are the plans? Now, this is something the government can talk about, as can the opposition. You don't hear these conversations. Now, those are what you call, in my opinion, honest conversations. What I hear from these two, opposition and those in power, they're each busy trying to justify their position instead of serving the people who actually elected them. The people whom they claim they want to represent better. What is the plan to make sure that people are fed? What is the plan to remove people from poverty? What is the plan?
City, you have asked a good question. Huh?
Yeah, and I'm sure you will not be able to answer it in 20 seconds, or are you? Because we have literally run out of time.
It's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Let's meet next year for same discussion.
No, definitely. We are definitely going to invite you to continue with this conversation. Kamau, last words. 10 seconds now.
I want to wish every Kenyan a Merry Christmas and a happy, prosperous 2026.
Yes.
Where we're going to delve deeper. Let them be ready for new Kenya, for new change.
All right.
For us to be part of the change, we have to participate in it.
Karibu sana.
Christmas.